The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
It is time for Aaron Glenn to fill out his coaching staff. The latest reports are out there. We'll break it down with Frankie V from uStadium. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby.
I wanted this job. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. And I'm ready for it. It's all about the Jets. This is bigger than me. I look forward to this. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this.
We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Brees Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go on a Wednesday afternoon. It is the Jake Asman Show. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Hit that like button, and by now you know the deal. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Just a few days left in January, which means if you want your name added to the intro, join the Patreon. That gives you access to the Discord, which is private and only, that's right, only for Patreon members. Plus, it gives you 20% off all merch items. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. And for those interested, I was able to add a hoodie of the We're Built for This Bleep AGHC t-shirts. Just go to jakeasman.com and you can get yours today. Before we bring on Frankie V from uStadium, there's some business that needs to be handled. So the New York Jets have reportedly fired offensive line coach Keith Carter. And if you've been watching this show, I have talked for the last year and change that they need to make a change with the O-line coach because I believe the Jets were as badly coached there as any unit on the team. So in honor of Aaron Glenn making the change, we will officially send Keith Carter to the hole. Now look what you've done. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. You understand me? You catch my drift? Give them another 24 hours to think about it. We will see you later, Keith. Joining us right now to talk all things Jets is Frankie V from uStadium. What's up, Frankie?
Jake, my man, how we doing? It is a great afternoon here. Now that Keith Carter is gone, I think we can all sleep a little better tonight. One of the worst offensive line coaches in NFL history is gone. Thank the gods. Thank you very much. It's about damn time.
Amen. And it's like 50 degrees in New York City today, Frankie. So today's
unbelievable.
Today's been a good day.
Today's a beautiful day. Feels like spring. I'm ready for a little mimosa action, but I had to stop on here, you know. Keith Carter's gone, but yeah, it's a great little afternoon / early evening in NYC.
So we got a lot to talk about with this coaching staff, but this is the first time I've had you on since the Glenn hire was official, the Muji hire is official. We had a press conference the other day in Florham Park. Give us some thoughts. How you feeling a couple days into the Aaron Glenn era here, if you will, the Glennaissance that's happening for the Jets franchise?
Listen, Jake, I love how he put his stamp on this franchise. I love how he came out in front of all those media members, showed us as fans that he is not messing around. This is not like Robert Saleh, nothing like Robert Saleh. This is more like Bill Parcells, if anything. So I think Parcells spoke to Aaron before he had his presser and said, these are the kind of things you need to do. The media is not your friend. The fans are there to respect you if you're able to win. Show them and show this organization who you are. And I think he did. It was, we both said it. He absolutely crushed that presser. And there's no other way to state it. He did a great job. Muji, I have no opinions on, to be honest. He didn't really do much. I think you and I or anybody in the world could have done basically what he did during that presser. So I'm not really going to say like he impressed me. But I do think the relationship between him and Glenn was something that you kind of felt there. And that's a good thing. Something else I think that's even maybe the most important thing with that whole presser is this is Aaron Glenn's team. He has the keys. He is the boss. He is our Jim Harbaugh here. He has all the keys. He's going to run the show. There will be no decision made at One Jets Drive that will go over Aaron Glenn's head. He has full control. And I don't know what to think of that. On one side, I like it because they're changing their approach a bit. And if Glenn is that guy, then we could really see some positive things here. But on the other end, if he struggles to hit the ground running, then things could get a little bit bleak, I guess is the right word, or whatever the right. You have a better vocab than I do, but things could not look so good. So I'm curious to see how that works out. But I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Well, it's clear Glenn has all the juice in that building, and you're starting to see this more around the league. Like Liam Cohen right now got hired by the Jaguars. They don't have a GM yet, and Liam Cohen doesn't even have close to the amount of coaching experience on the resume that Aaron Glenn has. So you're starting to see this more and more. But to me, all you need to know about who has final say on things is Woody Johnson referred to Darren Muji as the sidekick to Aaron Glenn in the press conference. Now, maybe he'd want those words back. He'd use a different, verbiage there if he could do it over. But anyone who watched this press conference, we all saw the same thing. It's the Aaron Glenn show. It's his team, and ultimately we'll find out if that's the right decision or not. But he has as much power as anyone in that building now. That's obvious.
Yeah, he does. And he has as much power as I would say most head coaches do now in the league. I mean, I think there's head coaches like a Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, Kyle Shanahan, maybe. There's a few, and Andy Reid, Sean McVay, but I think he's in that top 10-ish range as being like he is going to be the decision maker, not only for what's happening on the field, but also decisions made with the roster. I mean, Jake, when they asked him point blank, will you be calling defensive plays? He answered no immediately. I am not the defensive coordinator here or de facto play caller on defense. I am the CEO. I am running the show A to Z. So we'll see how it works out. It's a risky move, but I think it could have a lot of benefit as well if Aaron Glenn can find himself, and I'm sure we'll get into it, a quarterback and an OC and a quality DC, which is very important for his success here.
Well, specifically with the quarterback, what did you think of how he handled the Rodgers questions? I'll tell you what, Frankie, as someone who was very weary of any first-time coach, and obviously I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn. He's a Jet. But to me, it wasn't about Glenn being qualified. Of course he's qualified. It's just I didn't want any first-timers again. But the way Glenn handled those questions and the way he kind of set the tone with the media, as you alluded to at the top, he didn't sound like a first-time coach. He sounded like a guy that's been a Jet, understands this market, understands the media, and I loved what he said when he was asked about Rodgers, how he basically shut it down and wasn't going to take the bait from anyone. What did you think of the way he handled the Aaron Rodgers discussion?
I loved it, man. I did. I think he told everybody out there, including his own players, there is nobody on this team that's going to be higher up in the totem pole than anybody else. Everyone's equal. We're going to actually go through the roster. We're going to audit this entire roster and see who's worthy and who's not, and who could be who could become part of a rebuild of the culture here. I think that's something too. He mentioned culture and what he learned from Parcells, and he specifically stated that people and changing people changes culture, and that includes players obviously as well. So I love that he didn't kiss Aaron's ass. However, I mean, on the other side, how does Aaron take that? I don't know. Aaron has a big ego, but I like that that's what he started his presser with is I don't really care about Aaron Rodgers right now. I'm actually going to come up. I'm going to come out early before I'm even asked about it and let people know we're going to look at Aaron as any other player. And if we feel like he gives us a good enough option to win and build around Jake, then we'll look at bringing him in. If not, we don't need Aaron. It's more about the Jets than it is about Aaron, which I really liked. I probably liked that the most about the entire presser.
Yeah, I just think the way he was in control was
Yes,
apparent
perfect way to say
throughout.
it.
And I played this a lot on the show, but I think it's worth playing because I think it really gives you some confidence that AG is not just your typical first-time coach. This 35-second exchange during the media scrum after the big press conference, I thought was the moment of the day for Aaron Glenn.
Will Aaron Rodgers be your quarterback?
I love that, man. Now you know why he was as good as he was as a 5'9" corner, right? Because he's got that attitude. He's a tough SOB, man.
What a way to stuff Bruce Beck and Rich Samini in a locker there, man. And I'm just
you
kidding.
saw Kaz laughing back there.
Yeah.
I was loving that.
And look, that's the way to handle it, right? Like, it shows confidence, and it also just shows awareness. Like, I've been in this market. Like, I've like, Samini covered him as a player. Like, he's not going to just allow – the media to get him, to quote him. And I think an issue Saleh had is he tried to be everyone's friend. He's a really nice guy. He's a genuinely good human being, Robert Saleh. I don't think that could work in New York. You got to be a little tougher, like, with the media. You gotta be more of an a-hole without, for lack of a better description there. Like, I think Aaron Glenn told that line perfectly of, hey, I'm going to treat you guys professionally. I expect you to do the same to me, but this is not going to be what it was. And I think that comes with the experience he has being in this market as a player and being a guy who played under Bill Parcells and coached with Sean Payton. Like, I think we saw that on display for a first-time coach. It was really impressive.
I couldn't agree more. Now, there is something, though. I think he'll be challenged. I think the Rich Saminis of the world, people in the Jets beat, they're not going to like this approach necessarily. You kind of don't make them feel good about themselves. These are some, I don't want to call them miserable people, but, these people have been behind their desk for a few years too many. They might want to come at you a little bit. Oh, you want to be tough guy with me? I've been here for 20 years. You've been here for 20 minutes, but let's see what you got. Let me come out with something. So I think there'll be a little bit of a push-pull there, but like Parcells did, Parcells was a prick day one, and he was a prick until he came back, and he was a prick until he left. So, I mean, I'm totally fine with it. It just better be consistent. Like, if you want to be that guy, be that guy. Don't have any, don't give up an inch in that regard, because this market will get after you. But I totally like the approach. I think that's the only way to really handle it today, honestly, if that's your personality, of course.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. We're talking with Frankie V, uStadium co-founder. If you're one of the 400 plus watching right now, first off, thank you. Second off, smash that subscribe button. And if you're just tuning in this week, Asmaniac raffle number 14, in honor of the Super Bowl, we had to step up our game. A signed Joe Willie Namath helmet is our grand prize. To win it, you gift a raffle, or you gift a membership to get an entry in the raffle. Grand prize number 2, signed Joe Klecko Hall of Fame inscription helmet. Grand prize number 3, I added this morning, signed Mark Gastineau helmet. And grand prize number 4, the signed Aaron Glenn, Coach Glenn photo. So we're up in the prizes. The Joe Willie helmet is worth a lot. So hopefully a great Asmaniac will win it when we do our 14th raffle sometime next week, or the Monday following the Super Bowl. Frankie, as far as this coaching staff goes, your thoughts on some of the reports that are out there. The latest one is that Steve Wilks, who's been mentioned for this job for a while now as the potential DC, is actually interviewing for the position tonight. So if that goes well, wouldn't shock me if it gets leaked out later that Steve Wilks is getting this job. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think he's clearly the favorite to get the job, and I wouldn't be surprised if we hear it before the night's over. I think this is their sort of like second interview where they want to just sign him. Tonight's the night. Wilks was the assistant head coach his first year in Carolina when they actually went 15-1. Eventually got a head coaching job with the Cardinals. Lasted a year. There was a lot of controversy behind that. Plays a pretty aggressive style of defense, and I think that meshes well with what Aaron Glenn wants to do and the kind of personality he wants to bring on the defensive side. But I think it gets done tonight. There's not enough other candidates in the mill there. I think you have some of the guys from Detroit, but he's the clear favorite. And I think if that doesn't happen, I think we're not scrambling for a DC, but you're going to have to bring a Jim O'Neill or a Kelvin Shepard or someone from the Detroit staff, which is sort of like a backup plan. But I would go with Wilks, for sure, if I had to pick.
So I want like coaching experience on the staff, previous head coaching experience. And we know Aaron Glenn is also not going to call the defense. So this to me is a really good hire for kind of that experienced coach. He knows what he's doing, calling the defense. And it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Good DC and a guy who's been a head coach before that Aaron Glenn can lean on.
Definitely. Yeah. He'll help out Glenn. I mean, he's been a coach, as you're saying. So, like, he'll help him out maybe with some in-game adjustments, certain things with clock management. I think just going through practices with Steve Wilks, he'll pick up things from Aaron will pick things up from Steve. So I think that's super, super important. That's going to be the biggest adjustment for Aaron is in-game adjustments, literally. What is he going to be able to do in-game? How is he going to manage certain situations out? Whether to go for it on a 4th and 1 from the opposing 43 or something. Like, there's going to be certain in-game stuff that I think going through day in and day out practices with Steve Wilks and seeing the defensive side of the ball, Steve will give him some tips there because he's been there and he's done that.
As far as some of the other names out there, the attention's going to shift to the offensive coordinator job. And that to me is the second most important job on this staff, because we know, the background for Aaron Glenn is that of a defensive-minded coach. And what comes with that is the need to get the OC hire right, especially when, if not this year, then certainly next year, the Jets could be looking at a quarterback they're taking very high in the draft in the first round. That's going to need to be developed. So your thoughts on the potential offensive coordinator options that have been floated out there for Aaron Glenn?
Yeah, I want one of two options, Nick Caley or Tanner Engstrand. That's it. I think Nick Caley's more of a guarantee. I think he has more experience. I think it's proven as to what he's done, more so than Tanner Engstrand. But I think Tanner Engstrand has a more interesting background. Was linked up with Jim Harbaugh at San Diego. He actually went and followed Jim in Michigan after he became a head coach there, believe it or not, from quarterbacks coach to OC. Then ends up in Detroit. Detroit fans, I mean, like, if you go and on Twitter and look at Detroit fans, they're pissed off that they didn't promote Tanner as their offensive coordinator. Just the fact that you spent a few years with Ben Johnson constructing those passing games, those plays, I mean, that's as good as you're going to get. And I'm not talking about like as good as you're going to get in the last 5 years. Ben Johnson's put together some passing plays, some route combinations that are some of the best the league has ever seen. So there's a higher upside, I think, with Tanner, but a higher floor, I think, with Nick Caley. So I think the Jets really need to figure one of the two. I think Nick Caley is less likely at this point. I know what Tampa is rumored. There's a couple other teams. So
I think he would have been the Jets guy, I was hearing, if Houston didn't come open with Slowick getting fired, and then Liam Cohen ends up leaving and going to Jacksonville as the head coach, and then Tampa's open again. But I heard from someone who's given me stuff before and has been right that like that was the guy, and Caley was on board, all that, and then all these quote unquote better jobs opened up. For sure. Sometimes when you wait a little bit, I mean, I'm not saying we're waiting too long, but other things open up. And those are two situations too with Houston and Tampa that the quarterbacks there also know what they've implemented and know some of the schemes and what they want to run offensively, that it makes it easier for Nick Caley to come in and sort of hit the ground running without having to develop everything from scratch. He can sort of pick up some knowledge from the quarterback and other coaches on the staff there as well. Let's give some love to two people that are in on the raffle giveaway, baby. The legend of Bobby Midnight, who's down another 6 pounds in the weight loss challenge. Oh, by the way, he has gifted a channel membership.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Yeah. So that is one membership on the show. I don't know who got it because it was a while ago and the chat exploded. But Bobby, thank you very much. We'll get you in the raffle. And David Atkins, who bought some merch, by the way, earlier, he's in our next Asmaniac raffle for another entry there. He had 6, I think, yesterday, and now another one today.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much, David. If anyone else wants in on the raffle, gift the membership, or if you send in a $20 super chat, that will get you 5 entries in there. Frankie SW Lion says, your guest is right. As a Lion fan, I'm not happy they brought in John Morton. I figured Tanner would have been made the OC.
Yeah, I mean, what I think's going on in Detroit is they're losing out on so many of their top end, personnel staffers. Obviously, their 2 coordinators have left. They want someone with experience, and John Morton has 15 years more experience than
he was good with the Jets. He was
for 1 year. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. We've had some weird situations with OCs, man. John Moore and then Mike LaFleur. I never really understand this team with OCs. It never makes sense. But yeah, he's a good coordinator. But I think the experience variable played into why Dan Campbell wanted to bring him in versus Tanner. I think Dan Campbell's scrambling. I think not to make your Lions fan panic, but I could care less actually. But I think they're in a little bit of a panic in Detroit. I think there's people leaving. They don't know what that offense is going to be without Ben. So I think John, being someone that left, came back there, is someone that they can depend on to, not have to hope and pray that they'll be fine offensively. They'll hit again the high floor argument versus the high ceiling. Is this kind of what they went for? I think with John.
I'll give you another name to watch for this coaching staff, Darren Rizzi, who interviewed for the Jet job as a head coach, North Jersey guy. Apparently, Rizzi had a really good interview with the Jets, so he impressed him there. And obviously, there's a tie to Aaron Glenn because they're both guys from the New Orleans Saints. And what's interesting with Rizzi, he was an interim head coach for New Orleans this year, so he technically does have some head coaching experience. He could help out Aaron Glenn as well in that role.
Absolutely, yes. The funny thing about Darren Rizzi is he went to my school. So he was a graduate assistant at Colgate University. Shout out. So
toothpaste, baby. Yeah.
That's it, baby. That's it. If only they had some free dental stuff, programs, I'd be doing fine right now. But no, shout out to Colgate. No, he was a graduate assistant at Colgate, Darren Rizzi. So I remember he was always like on the walls and stuff. It's like Darren Rizzi. It's like, wow, what a great special teams coordinator he's been. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, he'd be good. We need, listen,
the Rizzler, as Brian calls him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're in close games. I mean, we don't know who our quarterback's gonna be. If it's not Aaron, give us an advantage on the special team side of the ball. We got talent, but if you can get an advantage on that front, shit. I mean, every good team we've ever had, I feel like, had a good special teams unit. So keep it going.
Comment here from. Oh, I thought I saved it. Hold on. It's very important that you address this immediately, because I don't know if the show could go on unless you give a comment here. Where is this guy?
Is it about the moon landing again? Because
no.
I haven't done so much research on it, but
do you have a take on that though?
You know what? I have a take that I think, the moon landing thing. The one video I've seen about it was like the flag was waving, like there was wind, and apparently the direction of the wind wasn't correct. Like it was made up. That's really all I know. So I kind of took that YouTuber's word for it, and I've just never gone back on it. I'm kind of like, okay, I believe you.
I can't find it. Someone basically said, "Oh, Frankie again. His takes are insane," and I want to respond. But I can't find.
You know what? Hold on. Let's go through my takes a little bit, okay? Because I've heard this a bunch. When I said let's tank, hypothetically, for the number one pick or for Archie Manning, that's not a bad take. I still stand by that. I don't think it's a bad take.
Oh God, just because you're giving away the season already, it's over.
No, I'm just saying. Again, Jake, you know what hypothetical means. You know better than I do with all these words, right? Hypothetically, if we go 2-15 or 3, even if we go 3-14.
Hey, real quick, 50 memberships, and we'll say goodbye to Frankie.
Oh, come on. You know what? It was a little crazy at the time. I'll admit some of my wrongs. I know I have some crazy takes, but I was saying, I just, again, I don't want to pressure cook next season. And this is another conversation too. I was even going to ask you about it, or I wanted to bring this up on the show. There's speculation that Aaron Glenn and Muji get a little bit of a pass for 2025 if Rodgers doesn't come back. If Rodgers does come back, Jake, then you have to win potentially. There is no going 7, and 10 or 8 and 9. That's not good enough with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but they're not going to get fired if that happens. It'd be like, okay, we're moving on from Rodgers, and now this regime's going to get to draft their quarterback. I think either way, they're fine.
No, I know. But then, you start looking at their resume here, and with Rodgers, you're immediately expected to win. Because what do you think? Like with Rodgers, we're expected to make the playoffs. I think that's an expectation.
I think you're expected to compete for the playoffs. Obviously, the goal would be to make the playoffs. I think the goal certainly be to be better than 5 wins last year. You won 7 with Zach Wilson 2 years ago. I think the goal, if you tell me they bring Rodgers back, I think the goal is playoffs. But if they can't, if they go 9-8 and don't make the playoffs, I don't think that's going to be looked at as a bad season for a first-year coach and first-year GM. Then there'll be an onus to start building immediately in year 2.
Yes,
and winning.
But do you think with Rodgers that expectation obviously rises?
Yeah,
and if
I mean, the fan base is going to be more energized and excited about the possibility of being a better team if Aaron's the quarterback. But I don't think we're going to have the same expectations we had this year, where making the playoffs was the bare minimum. It's like this team has to go on a run. That's what we're talking about.
I agree with that. But I will say, I think Aaron Glenn and Muji are sitting down and asking themselves, and this is even beyond Rodgers, they're asking themselves, what is this roster today actually capable of? Who here do we see being a part of what we're trying to build? And if they feel like that is not close or even halfway there, I don't think Rodgers is back. But if that's somewhere in the middle or somewhere in the upper half of whatever their vision is, then I think it makes sense to say, well, that's not a cherry on top, but that's like the top king dice or card, whatever, and we can really stack this deck and maybe make a run. So I think that is unknown at this moment. I don't know, and I think that presser made it clear that they need to go in, audit this roster, and see where they're really at. And I think it's going to be potentially an extreme of one or the other. I think players could get shipped out potentially, or on the other end, we just keep everyone together. I mean, I spoke with Kaz on Gangs All Here with the post. Me and Rye did earlier today. He thinks nothing will happen really in year 1. And if there's anything, it'll happen in year 2, which makes the most sense, I would say.
Well, I mean, they have a lot of free agents anyway, but the core we're talking about of Garrett, Sauce, Brees, Jermaine, Will McDonald, AVT, Quincy, like those guys, I think are all back. I don't think there's any crazy splash just yet, because I think this team's going to try and retool this offseason, and they're going to try and win as many games as they can. If it's Rodgers or if it's Tyrod, whoever, I don't think this is like the wild offseason of a bunch of players being sent out and new ones coming in. I think you'll have some new players that are brought in to help, establish the culture, like what Rex did when he brought a bunch of Ravens in with him. I think Glenn could do that with Lions players, let's say. But I'm with you from the standpoint of, I think they're going to try and win as many games as possible and then figure out long-term answer at quarterback in 2026. Unless they draft someone in the first round this year, maybe they trade back in to round 1, or it's an early day 2 pick, and then that guy sits behind Aaron or Tyrod, whoever the quarterback is, and then you reevaluate going into 2026.
Yeah. And listen, I know a lot of people don't love this quarterback draft. I haven't really gone in yet to my scouting on this. Every year I like to get into the college stuff. Haven't dove in yet much because it's
surprised you're not in Mobile.
No, not this year. No. I'm going to be in Indy though for sure. I'll be there. I know you're going. What you said you're going? What, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Thursday, Tuesday through Friday of Combine Week. I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'll go to the on-field stuff and then Sunday. I was going to go to Mobile, but I'll tell you this. I think there are some sleeper quarterbacks in this draft, whereas last year there were none, but it was very top heavy. Last year we had guys like Michael Pratt late in the draft, and I didn't even think they were backups. I think this year there's some more interesting backup options. I've been talking a lot about Will Howard. I think is someone you could bring in, could be like a Kirk Cousins kind of value to a team if you draft him in the 3rd round. Jackson Dart might be getting overrated at this point, but Dylan Gabriel's been crushing it right now in Mobile. There's some other options though. I'm saying I think this year the Jets, if they play their cards right in the day 3, maybe day 2, if you have to move into day 2, I think there could be a quarterback option that you just want in the room. It's not, and listen, this isn't always about drafting a player who's going to be a starter and make a Pro Bowl. Make the room competitive. Have people challenge each other. It's not always about what you see in the stats accumulated on Sunday. There's a lot more that goes into it. I just want a competitive quarterback room more than anything. We need a competitive everything room on offense for the most part. And I think quarterback is at play this year in the draft. Even at 7, I don't know what's going to happen, but if there's somebody on the board as this process works, it doesn't seem like there's anyone at 7 at this point. There doesn't, but I've seen a lot of drafts. Bo Nix wasn't going to go, 11 or 12 last year before the season, before draft season began. So we'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cincy Matt has gifted 5 memberships for the raffle.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Hell yeah. If you hear your name called, you're a channel member, courtesy of Cincy Matt, who's not even a Jet fan. He just loves the Asmaniacs, baby. Shout out to you,
wow,
man.
What a guy.
Stephen B., Schneitzel, Thomas Carrieri, Johnny Cards, and I think there's one more. That might have been 5. Either way, everyone there just got a membership. But wait, there is more. How about for the second time today, Bobby Midnight getting a channel membership, baby. And who got this one? NY Jet 8 is the recipient of the member. We only added 2 memberships on the first show today, so hopefully we get a lot here. We got the Namath helmet up for grabs and the Klecko helmet. And just added today, the Mark Gastineau helmet as well. Ted wrote in that Jake tried to get someone on from the Senior Bowl. Ted, I guess you missed yesterday's show when Will Parkinson literally joined us from the Senior Bowl. We will have more Senior Bowl coverage on this channel later on in the week, so stay tuned for that. Eiston with a super chat. Chatter stated that 9 and 8 would be good. I think that's BS. A winning record is a crazy low bar to set. What's your bar, Jake? Mine is 10 and 7, wild card. Look, Eiston, I disagree a little bit. To me, the bar should be whatever it takes to make the playoffs. Like, that should be the goal. That try and make the playoffs in a league where 4 new teams every year make it. No one had the Broncos in the playoffs this year, or the Chargers, or the Commanders. Like, you see it constantly in the NFL, unless you're the Jets. So it'd be nice to maybe change that the same way Herm made the playoffs in his first year. Mangini did it. Rex did it. Even Bulls won 10 games. Like, I want the Jets to go out there, and if they go 9 and 8 but make the playoffs, fine. A winning season is not nothing, though. So I'd push back a little on that, but I'd like a playoff season as the bare minimum. Like, you feel good about your coach going forward if Aaron Glenn could do that.
Jets coaches have notoriously had good first seasons, by the way. Even Al Groh went 9 and 7 his first season, right? And then he left. It's funny, though. Yeah, I didn't even think about Herm his first season. You brought that up. I haven't thought about that, but you're right. Yeah, it's been pretty notorious here.
Well, the thing is, too, I look at the Jets and they're like retool / eventually, like, I guess it's a rebuild when they draft the quarterback. To me, it's more of like a retool. As to what the Buffalo Bills did, they had a 17-year playoff drought. The Jets right now are at 14. Tyrod Taylor and Sean McDermott's first year got that team to the playoffs with 9 wins. Now, they lost in the wild card round, but I think if you're a Bills fan, you left that season feeling good about your coach, feeling good about your GM, Brandon Beane, who was there. Like, you felt like, okay, we don't have the quarterback, but we have a regime that we trust to maybe get that guy. And guess what? They then traded up and got Josh Allen that following year. They went 6-10 in year 2 of that regime. But then from that point on, they made the playoffs every year since. Like, Josh Allen developed, and now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like, the Jets should essentially follow that blueprint. Like, try and make the playoffs this year with Rodgers if you bring him back, or maybe ironically it is Tyrod. And then if you're not going to go quarterback now because you don't like the quarterback class, that's when you go and make your move with a better quarterback class in 2026.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And if you look at Brandon Beane too, his first year, he had 4 key trades in 1 year. He traded Sammy Watkins, Ronald Darby, Marcel Darius, and Reggie Ragland in his first year as GM. So right off the bat, I'm not saying that's something we have to do here, but you see sometimes with the new GM has no allegiance to any players, new head coach that we have too, and Aaron Glenn, who's probably more important than Muji. I'm telling you, Jake, if they don't like a player, if they sit a player down and they feel like they're not bought in and they don't believe in what's going on and they can get value, they're going to get value. Aaron Glenn said it on the Pivot podcast that, I don't know if you saw that clip about when he went into Parcells' office because there were rumors he might get traded. And Parcells basically told him, hey, young man, look over your head. Everyone's got a price tag in this league, man. And Aaron Glenn's like, hey, he's like, I realized it. He's like, I didn't like it, but I knew it to be true. That's how it is. So I'm not saying trade everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying I am okay. I am totally fine with anybody on this roster besides maybe Garrett, and Olu. But But I'm fine with most of this roster. If they don't buy into what Aaron Glenn's doing, I am okay if we want to trade them. I'm going to be clear. I have no allegiance to really any of these players right now because I believe in what this man has told us during his presser. He's the leader. Now we all have to sit back and strap our seatbelts in or whatever. That's what he meant by that too. It's going to be rocky. You're going to maybe miss out on a player you love. Breece Hall may be traded because it's the last year on his deal. It doesn't matter at the end of the day who's on your roster if you don't have the culture side. And I think he's going to build the culture. And I love some of these players. I think Breece Hall has been at a disadvantage here. I feel bad he's had to deal with this crap with these OCs and the offenses he's had to play with. But timelines don't always work out. Sometimes teams go in a new direction. We are going in a new direction, and someone might have to be moved for the betterment of the team and the culture. It just is what it is.
I don't think it's Breece, though. I'd be very surprised at this point.
He's on the last year of his deal, though.
Yeah, but what are you getting for Breece Hall? You know,
I think there's not a great market for running backs, but I think the way Saquon's played this year, Jake, I think that really ups Breece's value a ton. I think other teams are going to be like, this guy basically was the best player, the MVP of that team. They're in the Super Bowl. They might win the Super Bowl. I should think they are. And I think Saquon's
what are you getting
MVP,
though? Like, if I get a first round pick, fine, I'll trade him. But I don't think you're getting that.
I don't think it's as. I think if you get a few second round picks, I think it could be interesting. Or second and a conditional third.
I don't.
I think someone could give you a second round pick. I do. I think it'd be
intriguing because if you're the Jets and you might need that extra draft capital to move up for your quarterback the following year, now you're following my logic. You think about it. I wouldn't trade him though. I'd let him play out the last year of his deal because I think with the right O-line coach, we're talking about Keith Carter getting fired at the top of the show, a real run game coordinator. Why can't Aaron Rodgers be what Phillip Rivers was on that Colts team a few years ago when they won 11 games and made the playoffs? He was a bridge quarterback that year. The ultimate example is Peyton Manning's last year in Denver when he was a game manager at best with a great defense. I'm not saying the Jets defense is the 2015 Broncos defense. I'm just saying that's the extreme example of Hall of Fame quarterback willing to do whatever it takes to win, was willing to be a game manager, used his brain to help that Denver offense be functional and rely on a great defense. I don't think the Jets are winning the Super Bowl next year, but I think they could be a playoff team if they follow that Bronco model last year of Peyton Manning. And this version of Aaron Rodgers is light years better than that version of Manning, who really couldn't throw because of the neck injury he had, which is why he retired.
That last year he was awful. I mean, even the last couple years with Roethlisberger, they were making the playoffs. He couldn't even throw either. I'm telling you, I had a better arm maybe than he did. I think half the chat did.
That's why I wouldn't get rid of Breece, though.
The only thing with Breece is, when is he going to ask the front office for a new contract? And what are we going to franchise tag him? We're going to go through this running back dance. You see it happen all the time. I'm just saying, could be in our best interest if we like Braylon Allen and maybe another back. I love Breece. I probably was Breece's biggest fan when we drafted him. Timelines are timelines. It's okay. We'll see how he does. He had a pretty down year. His vision, not to get into the football side of things, his vision to me is a little limited. If you can get him the ball in space, if we could bring in an OC that could get him the ball in space, he's excellent. His problem is when there is no space and you need to create, I don't think he sees it all that well. It's sort of like I don't say Alvin Kamara-ish, but it is a bit. Get him the ball in space versus having him be behind the 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, going off tackle without any real leverage with no opening. So we'll see. But it's going to be an interesting storyline. I'm just saying. I know this for a fact. They're going to talk about an extension. They're going to talk about a contract with Breece and the running back dance, Jake, with having 1 year left on your contract, it isn't pretty, especially in this league.
Yeah, I mean, look, they still do have the franchise tag as a weapon to use just in case. So I don't think they have to worry about it just yet. But long term, sure, it's definitely a conversation. Jeff writes in, "No more Frankie. This guy's takes are terrible."
Again, I'm just giving. Listen,
Mike
give you
D's
something.
nuts in the house, Frankie. He chimes in. Frankie jumping the gun on Breece. And by the way, Mike, I just saw that you ordered an Aaron Glenn Ace t-shirt. So thank you very much. JakeAsman.com if you want this as a shirt or a hoodie. We're working on some other cool merch as well that listeners are making. I can't make any of this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, but shout out to Sham who made that design. And we got another thing in the
There's a new AI that came out today, Jake. I don't know if you saw it, called Quen or Queen, QWEN by Alibaba, and apparently it's very, very good. So, I mean, I'm just letting you know.
For merch designs?
Yeah, for everything. Video designs. Apparently it's like 100 times faster than ChatGPT. That's what they say on Twitter.
Wow.
But
ladies and gentlemen,
people say a lot of things.
Hit the like button if you're just here to get. If you're one of the 700 people in here live right now, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're presented today by my guy Joe DeVizio and his team at Joe DeVizio Realty. Visit their website right now. That's sellwithjoe.com, or give his office a call, 959-CALL-JOE, if you're thinking about buying or selling your home. If you're buying a home, you're selling a home, Joe and his team are the best at what they do. They are the top real estate professionals in New Jersey and the surrounding metro areas. By the way, Joe, diehard Jet fan, season ticket holder. He's the guy you want to work with. If you're behind on payments, they'll help you there. If your house needs repairs, no problem. Bad tenant, dealing with squatters, no problem. Not for Joe DeVizio and his team. Selling homes and getting you top dollar. That is what Joe does. Single family, multifamily, commercial building, investment property, condo, townhouse, beachfront, lakeside, urban dwelling. It doesn't matter. Joe will sell any property, any place, anytime, and get you top dollar. Call Joe and discuss your situation. Your wallet will thank you. Once again, check out Joe's real estate website in my description box for this video, or give his office a call, 959-CALL-JOE. That's 959-CALL-JOE, and get ready to cash out. All right, comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Cincy Matt says, not me humming the Beast Breaker intro all day at work. It is very catchy. I won't lie to you. It is very catchy. Fiore with a $10 super chat. Paul, always appreciate your support. Frankie, who is the quarterback if they move on from Rodgers? Do you think Glenn can say to the fans, get used to winning and then have a bad season? Coaching guys hard works when there are results.
Okay, let me just say this. Get used to winning while I'm here. It doesn't mean get used to winning in year one necessarily. I think it takes time sometimes. If it's not Rodgers, it's Tyrod. If it's not Tyrod, it's a free agent quarterback. Could be Justin Fields. Could be, I don't know. The free agent quarterback class is terrible. I mean, Jameis Winston, I would not like that, but he's out there.
Bring back Rodgers. Bring back
Jacoby
Rodgers.
Brissett is out there. Or you look at the draft. You go through your process. You see what you're doing at 7. If you want to move back, and then you start Tyrod and you have a rookie quarterback. I'm just saying, we are so battered with this 14-year playoff drought that we want a microwave success. We screwed up the last couple of years. We got unlucky as well with the Rodgers injury. That really screwed us up. Give it a little more time. If you try to force things, you're going to ruin the future. You're going to crack the can or crack can. Gonna crack the cup.
That's why the plan should be Aaron Rodgers, because he gives you the best chance to win. And you could still go through your process on taking a quarterback in day 2 if you want.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, I'm fine with bringing back Rodgers. I think it's a good idea. Why not? He's here. He had a pretty good year last year. If he could stay healthy, which I'd question a bit, but if he wants to play, give him another year. Why the hell not? We got him for a reason. We lost out on a year of Rodgers. We got only 1 year of Rodgers. He almost broke every Jets single season record. Bring him back for a year. I'm down with that. But if not, I'm also okay with that too. Jake, I'm really 50-50 on it. I'm probably leaning more bring back Rodgers. I'm probably 60-40 there. But either way, I think there's a plan for both things, for both avenues. Rodgers is back or Rodgers is not. I just don't think if Rodgers isn't back, we have to go out and get Kirk Cousins to try to, make the playoffs in 2025. When
if that's their plan, that's terrible. Like, to me, it
could be their play. I mean,
how does that make any sense to bring Kirk Cousins?
To me, but
it makes no sense. Aaron Rodgers was better than Kirk, and Kirk Cousins is coming off the same injury Rodgers was coming off of.
Yeah, but I'm saying if Rodgers retires, let's just say he doesn't want to come back, and they're in this. Let's try to win.
Well, that's
next
different.
year.
But I thought you were saying
no,
sign Cousins over Rodgers, which would be
absolutely not. No. If Rodgers wants to come back, you absolutely talk to Aaron and make him understand if there's a new OC that there's going to be a little bit of a push-pull or give-take, and yeah, bring back Rodgers for a year. I'm totally down with that. But if he doesn't want to come back, and Jake, they want an answer sooner rather than later. They want an answer in the next month-ish. They want an answer before the combine. So,
which I think Rodgers they'll get. I don't think Rodgers is going to do the old song and dance, and this is going to drag on. I mean, I think this is something that we could find out about even before the combine. I think we could find out about it, the week after the Super Bowl. Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Jets Worldwide, wide has gifted a channel membership. Let's go.
Money.
That's our guy Snowball. Draft Geek just got a channel membership. Snowball, you're in the Joe Namath signed helmet raffle for one with that. Michael with a $10 super chat. This Frankie guy is the man. Great out of the box thinking. Winning next year is actually detrimental to the Jets. How would you get your quarterback if as one and out playoff team or barely missing it? Michael, I have explained this numerous times. The Kansas City Chiefs were a playoff team when they traded up to go and get Patrick Mahomes. The Buffalo Bills were coming off a playoff season when they traded up to get Josh Allen. The Baltimore Ravens were a playoff team when they traded back into the first round to take Lamar Jackson. You don't need to be the worst team in the league to get your quarterback. So winning and ending the longest playoff drought in sports and having belief you got the right coach and the right leadership going forward, there's value in that. I don't want you to act like winning is detrimental to the Jets. That to me is an asinine take. I'm not tanking when Aaron Glenn's up there saying we're the New York Jets, we're built for this, we're going to win, and then you're going to go out there and try and lose in his first year. There's no way that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think what he said specifically is exaggerated completely. What I think he's trying to say, or what the point is if 25 isn't a playoff year, it's not the end of the world. That's really, I think, the point here. And sometimes don't overextend yourself. Don't go out and sign Chris Godwin to $60 million because you need a wide receiver too. Like there's certain moves you don't need to make.
It's a different approach. But look what Parcells did his first year, right? He took over a one-win team. A lot of those players were on the team the next year.
Yes.
And then they really added more players 97 to 98. Like there was a build there, but better coaching got that team from 1 win to 9 wins just with better coaching. Like, I'm not 100%. Saying Aaron Glenn is Parcells. Parcells is one of the best ever. But the point is, like we've seen this in Jet history. Eric Mangini took over a team that was coming off a 4-win season that was supposed to suck, and Chad Pennington got that team as comeback player of the year into the playoffs at 10-6. That to me is an example of something we could look at with Aaron Glenn in year one and go, that could happen.
Yes, and that's exactly what I've been trying to say when I haven't actually said it. But 26 is assuming Rodgers isn't back and you don't have really an option at quarterback. Listen, you do whatever you can to win. Sports are crazy. Teams win in mysterious ways all the time. I'm not saying you come out week 1 and you're like, oh, this is a year we plan for Archie Manning. Hell no. You try to win. You don't know what can happen. I'm never saying that. I'm just saying if you don't have the quarterback down and you're just building, 26 could be a really special year if the culture's built right, if the right players are here. That's the whole point. Again, it's hypothetical. I think they need to do whatever they can to try to win every year Aaron Glenn's here. If it makes sense, though. That's it. It's got to make sense. If Rodgers isn't here, it may not make sense. That's the, where are you going to go? Who's, it's okay. Teams go through this stuff. It's not crazy. I don't know why everyone's like all in the air about, oh my God, we got to win 25 if Rodgers isn't here. Well, yeah. And I want to find a lotto ticket with $100,000 on it that I want to scratch off. It doesn't always, it's not realistic sometimes. It's okay.
Sean says, this guy is a dingus. Would you like to respond to Sean?
You know what? I think Sean has a point, actually. I've never been called a dingus, but I mean, if you think I am, isn't every opinion in the eye of the opinionator or the person who made the opinion? So if you think I'm a dingus, I might be one.
Tristan writes in, let me in. I hate this guy.
Let him in.
Well, here's what we do around here when something like this happens. We call it an Asmaniac Rumble.
Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages, welcome to the event of the year, the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the Asmaniac Rumble.
What's up, man? Why do you hate me?
Frankie, you literally came on this chat, and I pray to God that not $1 of super chat money is spent to have you on this show at all. You should be coming on
Wow,
here for
that's
free.
mean.
No, what's mean is you literally want us to go through another season of losing. Explain that to me and
I
explain
did not
what
say I want us to
no,
go through.
okay.
I want us to
find the
win a
episode.
Super Bowl every
I can find the
year.
episode.
I
No.
want us to win a Super Bowl every year.
Every year?
want to put us in a position to get closer to winning a Super Bowl without having to go 7.
Tanking with a first-year head coach makes absolutely
I'm
no
not saying
sense to me.
tanking. I'm saying
You
if
did.
Rodgers,
You've said it before.
what
Maybe
I
not
said
this episode.
is-
You've said it before.
why is going hypothetically? Why is going 4-13 and getting your quarterback worse than going
You're
7-10 or 8-9?
To do that on purpose. Leave that.
I'm
up
not
to the
saying to do
general
that on purpose.
managers.
I don't.
Leave that
Who
up to the
says to
general
go-
managers to make moves in order to get us a quarterback. Jake has literally said this to your face 100 times. There's more than one way to get a quarterback in the National Football League.
Yes.
Rather than putting
Yes.
us through hell, and having us literally go through another hellacious season of losing. Your recommendation sucks.
How did the
And
Commanders?
you have
how
yet
did
to
the
be able to
command?
explain it away.
How did the
And you're
Commanders
also a
get their
You're
quarterback?
also a politician. You've literally said a whole bunch of different things and then said it a different way in episodes when you get called out. And then I literally came on the show late.
I don't
Did
think
you say
that's
something
accurate.
about trading away Breece Hall? Have you not looked at Derrick Henry? Have you not looked at Saquon Barkley? Do you really? What is your logic there? You make no sense.
Listen. This is the problem. I think sometimes
because now I'm on the phone.
Hold on one sec, Tristan. Hear me out. My point is this: sometimes the roster, for whatever reason, just doesn't work. For whatever reason, you could have a bunch of really good players. There's no fit. It doesn't mesh together well for whatever reason. Sometimes moving on from players at times when you're in a timeline of rebuilding the culture and the leadership and how the team needs to run, sometimes that's better for your long-term ability to win a Super Bowl. Everything I'm saying is to get us closer there. I want the Jets to do well every year. I'm a Jets fan, dude. I want us to win every year. I want us to win 20 Super Bowls in a row. My point is, I think Jet fans get too attached sometimes to players and to certain seasons. And like the thought of Breece not being here, it's like so catastrophic. Like, man, sometimes you got to move on and you got to go and build in a better way. There's nothing wrong with that. Teams have done that.
We're built for this shit.
I'll give you an example. The Raptors and DeMar DeRozan, right? I remember they were a 2 seed every year. They traded DeMar DeRozan, and Toronto fans were nuts. A few years later, they get Kawhi Leonard and they win a championship. I'm just saying things change sometimes. It's not that crazy of a take. I don't want the Jets to take, but I want the Jets to get a quarterback. And are the Jets better off with Archie Manning in 26 moving on? Or are they better saying that they went 8-9 and then they're left with Jordan Travis and a third-round quarterback?
What a rumble. Tristan, did you get what you needed out of that? You feel better? Tristan, we can't hear you. Your audio was done.
I don't believe. I never said I like. I'm not a tanker. I know I'm Frank. You know, like, Frank the Tank's became that. I don't like. Do you think I want the Jets to tank to just like laugh at them? Like, come on.
Your dream is
I want a
3 wins,
quarterback.
baby. There's nothing you'd love more.
Listen, if that gives us Archie Manning, that's a great dream to me. Honestly,
Do we know Archie Manning's even going to be good though?
I don't know. I think he's going to be great. And I'm kind of joking around, right? I'm just kind of playing along here. But no, I think Archie's going to be fantastic. And I don't yet know. I mean, things change. Quinn Ewers was supposed to be a top 5 pick this year before the college season.
Right. That's why
And
it's
now
like, I'm
we
not
might
worried
even
about
go on-
quarterback yet.
Yeah.
Like, they'll trade up for someone. They traded up for
Yeah.
Sanchez. Like they traded up to get Darnold. Like you could trade up to get a quarterback. The Eagles traded up to get Carson Wentz. And guess what? They're on a different quarterback in their second Super Bowl with that guy who was a second-round pick. Like, there's just too many avenues to get a quarterback besides just sucking for a year. And then the Jets have done that, and they miss on that quarterback they take anyway. There's no guarantee.
Jake, of course. I'm just saying what can optimize your chances to nail it. A lot of the examples you gave, too, with the Chiefs, the Ravens, the 49ers, the Packers with Jordan Love, those are 4 really well-run franchises with really good offensive staffs. The Chiefs, The Ravens.
But isn't the goal?
We're not.
Aaron Glenn's
we're not
coming
bringing
from the
up
Lions. They literally were a bigger joke than the Jets, and they got Jared Goff, who was, a former top pick, but not with them. It's like there's multiple ways to find a quarterback. Baker
and they
Mayfield
traded
down
Stafford,
in Tampa,
who was previously a number 1 pick. I mean, they had Stafford there for years,
and they couldn't win with him though. But they couldn't win with him, and then they were coming off like a terrible season with Stafford, which is why they traded him in the first place. And then they brought in Jared Goff, who was thought to be, just a guy, not that good, elevated by Sean McVay. And the Lions the last several years have been one of the best teams in the league, and they never had the tank to do it.
Jake, first of all, Stafford actually helped, believe it or not, helped the Lions in value in that trade. Regardless, though, I'm just saying, if we can get a staff in place, if we can get a good OC and a quality offensive, system, a program on offense, something that I can believe in, I think we could develop a quarterback. I just don't think we can develop a quarterback at this point. We're either going to have to find someone through free agency, or we're going to have to draft someone who's a quality quarterback. I think depending on and swinging and using Lamar Jackson as an example, or Jordan Love, is craziness to me. And Mahomes,
but that's more the example than the opposite of what you're saying, is it not?
Jaden Daniels, what did he do this year? Joe Burrow was the first overall pick. CJ Stroud. I mean, like there's a lot of
rank the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. How were they? Where were they drafted? How were they acquired? I agree with you from this standpoint. The vast majority were first-round picks, which is why I believe if they don't go quarterback this year, in all likelihood, 2026 they're going first-rounder. But how often is the first quarterback taken, even the best quarterback in the draft class? You mentioned Burrow, but there's so many other examples where the best quarterback in the draft class is not the guy who ends up going number 1.
Of course. I mean, listen, Josh Allen was 7th.
Right, but he was the third quarterback off the board that year, too.
Yeah, I'm saying Herbert's 1. He was 6th. Burrow was 1.
Third
Stroud
quarterback
was 2.
off the board that year?
Yeah. I mean, what other teams are we talking about with quarterbacks? I mean, most of the time, I had a tweet about this. Most of the time, the best quarterback go 6, 7, 8 in the top 10. It's more rare for a quarterback to be a Jalen Hurts in the second round than it is somebody drafted in the top 10.
I get it, but Patrick Mahomes was the second quarterback taken after Trubisky. I mean,
Trubisky was 2nd, and then Mahomes was 10th. Yeah, but again, Mahomes had Andy Reid. Mahomes had a perfect complement.
And they traded up.
Jalen Hurts.
My point.
Listen, I'll say this: Jalen Hurts, if he didn't go to Philly with that system and the way that offensive line is structured, and Sirianni being an offensive-minded head coach, and the weapons they've gotten him, and what Howie Roseman's done through the draft, Jalen Hurts isn't Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson going to other teams, I think, is not Lamar Jackson.
That's what the Jets are trying to build, though, Frankie. They're trying to do what the Lions did. I agree with
that.
Where Campbell hired a great staff and Goff was able to reach heights he's never reached as a player.
It takes time, though, doesn't it?
Of course it does. But the point I'm trying to make to you is, like, the idea that it would be good for this team to tank next year. There's just no way. There's just no chance it would be good for this team to be awful. You're one of a new regime. You'd have no faith. You have the right coach and GM going forward.
Well, I guess, the one example, and this is something I've always looked at as like stupid example, but I remember when I got into football initially, Jimmy Johnson, right? His first year with Troy Aikman, they went 1-15, and the stars were falling down, quote unquote. And what did they end up doing? They had a great run. Troy Aikman's one of the winningest quarterbacks in playoff history. I'm not saying that's a perfect example. That was years ago, but all I'm saying is give them time. That's my whole point.
Well, Frankie, they're going to get time. They're going to get time. They're not going to. The Jets could win 3 games, and they're not going to fire Glenn and Muji after 1 year.
Yeah, but fans expect the playoffs next year, and if Rodgers isn't here on the roster, you're going to see the over/unders come summertime. They're going to be at 4 or 5.5 wins.
Right. Well, but they should try and go over that.
And if Rodgers isn't here, that's fine. The Cardinals, too, before the season were at 5.5 wins, and they played pretty well. The Commanders, too, where I think we're at like 7.5. It takes some time, is my point. I don't want to tank. I'm just saying, like, if you don't have a quarterback and everything's new and you have 4 or 5 years, you're rebuilding, it's not crazy.
This to me is a retool, not a rebuild. This could be what the Chargers were this past year when they already had Herbert and then they just got a better coach and they made the playoffs from 5 wins to the postseason, like what
Yeah,
Denver just did in 2 with Bo Nix. You know, they got Russell Wilson off the books. Peyton in year 1 got his guy, and they were able to make the playoffs in the second season there.
Yeah, I think if Rodgers is back, it's definitely a retool. If Rodgers isn't back, it's to me, it's a rebuild. It just depends. If Aaron's back, retool it. If he's not back, I'd go into a rebuild. That's just me.
What does that mean, though? Like, you go into a rebuild. You're trading away Sauce. You're trading away Brees. You're going to trade away all these guys? I wouldn't.
It depends, obviously, how much value you can get within the quarterback market. If you can find yourself a quarterback, then you don't have to. But if you're struggling to find a quarterback, you may need to stack up some picks and just get some high asset rookie deal players because you're not able to pay guys out. That's not going to happen this year, I'm saying. But I'm saying throughout the course of the tenure of Muji and Glenn. I mean, like the Bears traded Khalil Mack, Poles his first year. There's been situations where GMs have come in. I'm not saying that worked, by the way, but I'm saying there's been situations where like GMs come in and they kind of want to shake things up right off the bat. Listen, you said it before on the show, Jake. Sorry if I'm getting loud. You said it. We're not winning with these guys anyway.
Well,
we're not winning with
not
Quinn
winning a
Williams.
Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't know about that.
But Jake, these guys are not leading us to the playoffs. Like how
do you know that though?
Because I see them play and I see the scoreboard at the end of games and we're losing more than that.
Frankie, they led the NFL in blown fourth quarter leads. They're not that far away with better coaching. Would you not agree? You don't agree that the biggest issue for the Jets this year was coaching?
Absolutely was. But what was the issue the year before that? And what was the issue the year before that? And
the year before that was Aaron Rodgers got hurt 4 plays in, and they still were able to win 7 games because of the talent the roster had on defense, and Greg Zuerlein didn't miss. So they won a lot of close games. Total opposite of this past year.
I think we have a bunch of talented players. I do.
So why would you try and trade them all away?
Because you can get better value.
So you are advocating for tanking.
No, I'm not advocating. I'm saying you can get better value down the line.
What do you think you're getting for Sauce coming off a down year for his standards? No one's giving you 2 first-round picks from him.
You might get a first.
And is that worth it? Because then you got to find another Sauce Gardner for your defense.
How about we have this conversation? I know this is going to take some people off, but whatever. I've done it many times. What if Sauce isn't good for the locker room? What if he's not good for the culture? What if he's not an Aaron Glenn player? Maybe you're better off not having that guy around than you are having. And I'm giving a hypothetical again. What if that's an Aaron Glenn move? I don't like Sauce's way of tweeting and how he is in the locker room. I don't like the energy he's putting out there. We want to build a tough, head down kind of defense. He doesn't fit that, and we'll build a better unit and build a better culture here by getting rid of a guy like that. Is that possible?
But like you're just coming up with hypotheticals here that don't.
I'm not real. I mean, listen, Sauce.
That's not based on anything. Like,
what about this year when he got off of Twitter? He got back on. He said this. He said that. He was.
Have you ever seen Micah Parsons on Twitter? We're not talking about.
And that's an issue for Dallas.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Brian Schottenheimer coming in and trading. Like this to me is just you're just throwing stuff to justify trading the Jets' good players. That doesn't make any sense to me.
What I'm saying is there are things that these guys that we think are talented are not doing. That could be locker room issues. That could be things about.
I don't think that's fair to Sauce.
Leadership.
Sauce is not a locker room problem at all.
I'm saying overall, these talented players are not winning games.
Yeah, but
they're not like Sauce is not getting pick sixes. Quinn Williams isn't getting strip sacks. Brees Hall this year, for some reason, couldn't take it 6. I'm just saying, like, after a while, we got to, like, look in the mirror as a team and as fans and be like, maybe this guy doesn't fit here for whatever reason. Maybe it's not conducive to winning. I don't get why that's, like, crazy. I don't, like, these guys aren't winning us games. And
but
I don't
Frankie,
know.
They didn't have a coach. They won 7 games 2 years ago.
I mean, hold on.
2 years ago.
We've had really good defensive coaches. So Salah, say what you want. He's helped out, I'm sure, Sauce and Quinnen.
And look at his quarterbacks, Frankie. And look at his quarterbacks.
The play isn't anything like outstanding though this year. I was so disappointed in some of these guys. I'll give it a year. I don't want to trade these guys, Jake. I'm just saying.
Good coaching elevates players. Like there's so many examples.
Of course.
So
yeah,
I'm not. So
we've had good defensive coach. We've had a defensively well-coached team for years now.
Until this year, when the defense fell apart, and a lot of that also had to do with personnel decisions by the previous GM who got fired, who sucked.
How do you think Quinn Williams played this year?
I think Quinnen Williams was good, but not up to his great standard we have for him.
Yeah. And you think the same with Sauce. I mean, basically everyone besides, I would say, maybe Garrett, you could say had somewhat on his standard.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it had to do
in a win now year,
with the,
right?
Frankie, it had everything to, I believe, to do with the coaching. Not that these guys aren't good. You really don't think this team was better than 5 wins from a talent perspective?
No, they were. But again, it's just always a what if. Jake, sometimes, as I was saying, things
but
just
you're
don't
advocating
match.
for trading away all these good players, and their values are low right now.
I think everybody on this team has a price tag. Everybody.
Like
Aaron Glenn said.
Of course, but who's giving you a haul for Breece Hall or Sauce Gardner?
Besides Olu Fashanu or Garrett Wilson, because I love both those guys. I think anybody could be traded on this team. If they traded Quinnen and got rid of his $25 million a year contract for a first-round pick or two, because they feel like they can go in a better direction, spend that money more wisely, and get some guys that fit the culture. I'm not saying Quinnen doesn't. I'm saying if they feel that way, I'm fine with it. I have no allegiance to players. Everyone has allegiance to players. I'm a Jets fan.
So
I want what's best for the team.
Is your dream scenario 3 wins or 4 wins for next year?
You know what? No, it's a tough one. Probably. Can we throw a tie in there too?
I mean, geez, man. Real quick, some super.
It's a good listen. It's a convo that a lot of Jet fans don't like to have.
Yeah, because they haven't made the playoffs in 14 years and haven't won more than 7 games in a decade, Frankie. And you have a head coach who's talking about trying to win right away, and all that comes with it. And you're talking about trading away the good players on this team and blaming them for them winning 5 games.
No. I'm not. Listen, Jake. I'm just saying.
Big fella wanted me to read this to you. He says, example of Frankie's takes. Chocolate ice cream. I like it, but I don't. Quit playing both sides. Damn it. Pick a stance and stick with it. JC. All right, so Big fella wants you to pick a stance. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You ready?
Let's go.
Aaron Rodgers, do you want him back with the Jets?
Yes.
Do you want the Jets to not trade Sauce, Breece, Garrett, and the young players on this team? Yes or no?
Do I want them to not trade them?
Yeah, you want them on the team in 2025.
I don't care.
You got to give a take.
No. I've no. I mean, you named 4 players. If there's the right price, I would trade Quinnen Williams or Sauce Gardner. If you want an answer, or Breece Hall.
What do you think that price is?
It's up for debate. I don't know. I haven't thought that much about it, but if they feel like they can get value, Breece is on the last year of his deal. Sauce wants to be the highest paid corner, and Quinnen's already one of the highest paid D tackles. I'm fine with moving on. I'm not going to cry about it, because I love these players that have helped us win 7 games consistently. Sorry,
Frankie. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you. You're the man. Appreciate it, Jake.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frankie V. He leaves us, and Mike D's Nuts has just gifted us 10 channel memberships. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike, this is for you.
Hey, thank you, Mike D's Nuts, for another gifted membership.
10 memberships have been gifted. 10 raffle entries for Mike, Lorenzo, Ramos, Hank G, Jonathan Fernandez, Bass Chopper, Cigar Gangster, Deladrian, Goody, JOBISE, all receiving channel memberships. Hit the D's Nuts emoji. The one thing that Frankie was saying that I vehemently disagree with is like blaming any of these players for the 5 wins. Like, this to me was a coaching malpractice more than anything else. I mean, Frankie talks about them winning 5 games, but you're not going to mention the fact that 3 of the games were lost because of the kicking situation. That's not on any player. That's on one player. That's on Zerline reverting back to a pumpkin after he's been one of the most accurate kickers in the league the last several years. The defense blowing the game against the Patriots to Brissett, the Colts game to Anthony Richardson, the Dolphins game, throw out whatever game. To me, better coaching, they win games. They win a couple of those games, if not all of them. So I don't think they're that far away from competing for the playoffs. They're a lot closer to being a playoff team than they are to picking first overall. That's a fact. And it's no guarantee that these quarterbacks next year, one, are going to be good, and two, the Jets will be in position to get the right one. And even when they do get a chance to pick one of these guys, they always pick wrong in their history. So I'm not banking on that. You know how long it took the Jets to build up the roster they currently have? I'm not getting rid of Sauce and Brees. Hey, you got to replace those guys. So I'm not doing that, man. You can't say what Aaron Glenn said at this press conference, and then your move is to trade away all your good players. You can't do it. Aaron Glenn's talking about winning games. He's not coming here to trade away the good players on the team. Easton wants to know how much to replace Frankie's spot with Tristan. Easton, I would rather hear Gary spew shit. That's how bad Frankie's takes. Takes are. Frankie, I see what you did there. Barbarossa says, can we trade Frankie for a bowl of soup? Maybe a taco. That's my price. This moron is Gary 2.0. Gary, how do you feel about being called a moron by Barbarossa?
That's all right. I actually agree with you on this. I can't live with another tank. I'm watching my Nets tank. I got to watch Jalen Wilson and Keon Johnson play 35 minutes a game every night, and the Nets shoot 35% and lose by 20. I can't sit through that
Can
again.
you give us like a boxing tutorial on the show?
So the jab, that's a 1. Right cross.
You think you take Beastbreaker?
I'm pretty sure I could beat Beastbreaker in a fight.
What gives you the confidence?
The physical appearance of Beastbreaker and having been in countless fights.
What do you mean the physical appearance?
He can't get out of bed.
That's not true. He definitely can get out of bed. He's up. Yeah.
That's training 101. Welcome to my classroom, Gary.
Hey, he did get out of bed. Good for you.
Get up, sunshine! Ah! I think it's called fear, son. I think it's called fear.
Yeah. Sit down before you have a heart attack, Beast.
That's scary enough to knock my out. Come on, look, you little fuck. I got something for you. Come on down. Who's next? Come on. Who wants a little?
He looks to be in great physical condition.
Yeah, baby.
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. The enemy confronts you, he's the enemy. Just bring it all you got. You're all just a bunch of little babies with no guts.
I learned a lot there, Gary.
Yeah. I wanted to talk football with Frankie. I didn't sign up for this.
Gary.
All right, I think his internet's out. I think the internet in Mom's basement is out again.
Oh, you son of a...
Beastbreaker. 666 $50. Will send his ass to the hole where there's no gabagool.
Hey, Jay. I wanted to talk tanking with Frankie. You want to tank for a quarterback who's played 2 games, started 2 games. One of them against Louisiana Monroe, and the other was 0-8 in the SEC. You want to tank for that guy. I'm not saying I like Arch. I like him. I think he's going to be good. But we're tanking a year in advance for a guy who's literally started against 0-8 in the SEC, Mississippi State, and Louisiana Monroe. And we're sure that that's the avenue we want. We're 100% positive we're going to give up on the season and trade away all of our guys to get Arch, who started 2 games against the teams I've mentioned. We're sure this is what we want to do. Are we quite certain? I can't sit through and watch this. I can't. Watching the Nets game they have to lose to Charlotte today. That's how I can't keep doing this. I can't root for my teams to lose. I can't do it. First of all, you can't even tank in football. Football, you got to go out there and try to compete to win every day, all week long in practice, and then on a Sunday, because it's a violent game and get somebody killed. You can't lay up like the Nets, right? You can't say, okay, we're going to sit Cam Thomas and D'Lo and all these guys today. You can't do that in football. You can't say, I'm going to sit Olu Fashanu today and Morgan Moses because I want to lose. You got to get somebody killed. You can't do that.
Hey, Gary, we have a lot to discuss with you, all right? Before I do that, though, I want to give a huge shout-out to a listener by the name of Wayne, who just purchased and Aaron Glenn built for this bleep t-shirt at jakeasman.com. Now, I'm going to need you to address a story out of Washington, D.C. That a man eating 6 to 9 pounds of butter and cheese a day developed cholesterol hands while on the carnivore diet. Let's see your hands, Gary. Is this you? Hold them up. Hold up your hands, damn it. Hold them up.
That is not I.
I don't know. I see that. I see a resemblance.
That is so moronic.
Could this be Robert Woodruff, a.k.a. Bobby Midnight?
Yeah, this is not a real story.
No, this is real.
Right, sorry, it is, yeah.
This is a real story. It happened, and many people want to know if your hands are the culprit.
It is not mine. That is not I.
I don't know, man. Kind of looks like your hands.
All right. Hands are clean.
Does it concern you that you might have cholesterol hands because of your diet?
No. Why would cholesterol is not a disease? I don't understand why that would concern someone. It's just all of a sudden someone made up the idea that cholesterol was related to heart disease when there's not a single study that supports that, and every single study kind of debunks it. Kenny Pickett size hands for Gary.
Let me see your hands, Bobby. Let me see your hands.
I showed you my hands today.
Turn it around. I want to see if you have cholesterol hands with your butter diet.
No, my hands got smaller from last night. So,
Can I address the comment from Alan about tanking for Cooper Flagg? I'd rather have Ace or Dylan. I'd rather have one of the Rutgers guys, but I'm not in favor of tanking ever for the Nets. It might be their best. Look, there's no good move on the chessboard for the Nets. The Nets are in hell. Okay.
Also, I don't know. I don't even want to get into the Nets because it's a different sport. It's different. Tanking makes more sense in basketball. It's easier to orchestrate in basketball too. Football,
but it doesn't work in basketball either. It really doesn't work in football. It doesn't work in basketball either.
It's not guaranteed in basketball.
Detroit and Washington would be phenomenal, but they're not because they tank every year. Charlotte would be amazing. It doesn't work, right? So, I mean, the Nets don't have another move. The Nets have $90 million wrapped up in Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton, and Ben Simmons. They're screwed. They are so screwed, right? So maybe tanking is the best of the worst, the best of the bad options for the Nets. The Jets aren't in position like that. The Jets can be okay. The Jets aren't, on paper, the worst team in football like the Nets are in basketball. It's not even similar.
How about those hands, though, once again? Carnivore diet, butter,
6 to 9 pounds of butter and cheese a day.
This is you. I'm very concerned about your hands. Cholesterol hands is real.
Yeah, it's certainly not. That's certainly not.
Bobby, be on the lookout for your purple hands. All right.
That's certainly not a real thing. Bobby, how you feeling on the carnivore diet? You doing good?
A+, Dad. Lost 7 pounds this week.
Sleeping well? Energy levels good?
Mm-hmm.
You losing weight?
I lost 7 pounds this week, Gary. Just said that.
The aches and pains, the inflammations are going down.
You asked
what
me
a horrible. Yeah, I know. I'm like a lawyer. I'm asking questions I know the answer to get my point across. Bobby, you doing great?
Yes.
The diet is so bad. Look, his aches and pains are gone. He's down 30 pounds. Look how bad. Look how bad this. He's sleeping. His energy levels are high. Look how bad this diet is.
And his hands are purple.
His hands are normal.
Not purple. My hands are white.
Look at those hands.
Those are not my hands. They're not purple. Those are not my hands.
Keep it up, Bobby. You're doing great.
Hands. I got great.
The proper human diet.
Yeah, I like it.
It's good.
Hey, Bobby, what were your thoughts on Gary getting smoked by Beastbreaker earlier on the first show today?
Well, I didn't see the first show. Sorry.
Also, Bobby's energy level doesn't appear to be very
I didn't see the first show, Jake. I'm sorry I didn't see the first show.
No. I'm saying right now, like I don't think you have high energy right now.
Okay, well, do you have high energy, Jake?
I do, yes.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know. Bobby seems pretty high energy to me. He's pretty chippy.
I'm asking all the questions you're asking. Oh, have fun at the game tonight. I hope the Knicks kick ass, whoever they're playing.
Thank you. Nate with a super chat. Article said he was strictly on a carnivore diet he found on the internet. He had high energy, losing weight at first. His diet, hamburgers plus butter plus cheese.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Which one of those things are going to lead to having cholesterol, which comes from your brain, spill out of your hands?
I don't know.
For some reason, they want this to be bad for you, but like all of the evidence points to
those cheese puffs.
All of the evidence points to the opposite.
Those cheese puffs.
Hey, shout out to listener Derek, who just joined the Patreon before the show. He writes in, Bobby has low energy, cranky. We need unhealthy Bobby back.
Oh, okay, Derek. You're such a nice guy. I love when you type. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it.
Hector writes in, Bobby is so depressed he don't even want to talk.
Hi, Hector. How you doing? How's your dog doing? How's your little bulldog? I think he's a bulldog. He has a bulldog. He's cute.
Bobby's got a lot going on. I think Bobby's doing great, all things considered. How's
Hey,
everything
Gary,
going?
I start my show today. I got my money. I could start my show after the show.
I was just going to ask you when we bring the show back. All right,
Tonight.
How much does StreamYard charge for you to do your show?
It's $26.99 now.
$26.99 a month?
Yeah. If I want 10 people on, remember 10 people?
Well, yeah. I mean, the Bobby Midnight Show is a show for 37 people on at once.
Yeah, but I'm not paying no $50. No, you only get 2 extra chairs if you pay 50.
I see.
Yeah, I paid it
You get
today.
12 chairs if you pay for whatever. 12 chairs if you pay.
2 more people you can. I'm
not a math major, but that doesn't seem like a good value. So you pay 20.
No.
I have it too, but I pay it yearly. I don't even know what the hell I pay for it. But you pay $26 a month for 10 people or 50 for 12.
Yeah,
I'm not a math major, but that doesn't sound like a good deal.
That's what it said. 2 extra people. That's what it says on the thing.
Lumpy says that you're doing fine except for the hands. Lumpy's very concerned about your hands as well, Bobby.
My hand, those are not my hands, Lumpy. Oh, I love when Lumpy was on with Charles yesterday.
That was a great moment.
Oh, yeah. Lumpy makes everything so good.
All right. Gary, can you give us a moonwalk yet? Are we ready for that?
Soon. I'm not going to twist on it yet, but we're getting there. We're almost there. I can walk on it. It's a lot better. It's still wrapped up, though, but we're doing better.
So I got 301 subscribers, Jake, so far.
Go subscribe to the legend of Bobby Midnight.
Now there's a gas station over here. I'm gonna go get some pizza and see if they have any butter to put on it.
All right. Comments, questions, super chats. Get your memberships gifted if you want in on the raffle. This will not be as long of a show as normal because I got to get to Madison Square Garden. Joe Namath, signed helmet. That's the grandest of prizes. Joe Klecko, signed helmet. Prize 2, prize 3. Mark Gastineau, signed helmet, which, by the way, Gastineau has a wild signature. But it will come authenticated, and then signed Aaron Glenn photo is prize 4. Biggest raffle we've ever done. In honor of the Super Bowl, we had to step it up with Joe Willie. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some super chats I missed. We'll get to them now. G says, Frankie is just as bad, if not worse, than Izek. Would you rather have Frankie V be the Jets GM or John Izek? Run up the poll. Bo writes in, Frankie thinks we'd be good if we had a new roster, a different logo, a new color, a new name, and sold everything positive about us. Horrible take. Cincy Matt says, Frankie is gone and miraculously my headache went away. Coincidence? Seems like the chat really liked the Frankie chat today. Let's see. Derek writes in, Glenn's too competitive to not bring Rodgers back. Frankie stopped with it. It takes years to build. It's been proven false. Yeah, this doesn't need to take more than 2 years at the most for the Jets to be in the playoffs. I'm tired of it, man. Every other team makes the playoffs but the Jets. Every other team. It shouldn't be this hard. Cincy Matt writes in, not me humming the Beastbreaker intro all day at work. I'll tell you what. Beast Breaker's internet is apparently fixed. Sing along.
Beast Breaker. 666 $50 will send his ass to the hole where there's no gabagool.
Stop! Hey! Hide! This is class 101. Definite definition of submission and pain. Now, we get down to the facts. Now, back to the basics. Saw! Again! Saw! High knee! Saw! This! Saw! Saw! Discipline is not going to be tested on the battlefield for pain. What are you laughing at, PBM? You think this is funny to you, kid?
Yeah, man, you make me laugh, man. It's pretty funny.
If you had the heart, I'd like to see you go. Saw! 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 See! Stop! You see that, ladies and gentlemen? That's training. That's hard. See, that's not easy when you're doing this job. Again, tiger claw in position. Saw! Again, saw! That is called tiger claw. If you get it to the heart, all you gotta do is saw! Saw! Again. Now, back in position. Saw! That is training. Now you're in my classroom. Beast Breaker 666, Class 0101. When you enter, you better be ready. If you're not ready, get out of here if you're not ready. And this season, nowhere to run.
Beast Breaker 666, he's the man who would kick your ass, and then he's gabagoo.
Mike, I had to go to you there. You're obviously a purple belt martial artist. Your thoughts on what you saw there from Beast Breaker?
Yeah, it was tremendous. My favorite was the roundhouse kick. I'm sure he liked that and everybody else. So I just wanted to address Black Belt Bobby. So I wanted to talk to Gary, if Gary's still on. Is Gary still back there or no?
He is not. He's not back there.
All right. So the biggest promotion that I'll ever get in my martial arts journey is not going to be when I get my black belt in the next 4 years. It's not my purple belt I have now or my blue belt before that. It's my transition from a regular belt to a white belt. Martial arts is not about where you end. It's about starting and continuing. So the biggest promotion you'll ever get is going from your regular belt to your white belt. And that is a flex because less than 1% of the community or 1% of the world actually trains martial arts. So it's a lifestyle and it's a commitment and a change. So that's the first thing. The second thing, Black Belt Bobby is not even a real black belt. He is a Lean Sigma 6 black belt, which we learned later. What that means is that's a business thing. Like you can get your project management or whatever.
You gotta let the dog out, man.
I know, my wife's taking care of the dog. But yeah, that's what that is. That's just a business management thing.
Now back to Beast Breaker. Based on what you saw there, do you think he knocks out Gary in 1 round or 2 rounds max?
And this is the other thing. So anyone that knows anything or has trained before, even if you've had 6 months of training, that's going to put you so much further ahead than anybody else that hasn't had training. So Gary would win in under a minute, guaranteed, because Gary understands distance, he understands precision, he understands the timing.
Hold on,
he
Mike.
knows.
Hold on, he's studying the tape. Let's listen in.
It's training. Now you're in my classroom. Beastbreaker 6. Hey, yo, what's popping up in this mug? I feel good. I feel great. I feel like a new man. I feel like lost about 6 pounds. I feel great. Yo, hey, when you gotta move, you gotta groove. You gotta groove. Oh, and I like that Vic Murrow mustache. You kind of remind me from Bad News Bears of 1976. That's a great movie, by the way.
All right.
I'll take it.
I'm out.
Mike, thanks for the time.
Hey, it's respect. Jake, I respect you as a great guy, but you know what? You look like you're ready for the Academy Awards.
I'm ready, Beast. I'm always ready.
All we need is get you on stage and go, all right, and presenting this Academy Awards for Best Movie from Bad News Bears, Vic Morrow. Does anybody remember 1976's great movie, Bad News Bears? When the Bears took on the Yankees? That was a great fight. Come on, you don't remember that fight?
A great film.
Remember when that fat guy was like, do it again? Yeah, and remember what the kid did? Doink! Flipped him the bird. It's called, hey, you want to play with the Bears, you come and get yourself. Oh, and this Frankie guy, I would have loved to have gone 2 rounds with him. He would have been on the ground crying, mama, after I'm done. I would have went, Hassa! Hassa! It's called Welcome to Class 101. When you're in my dojo, you better be ready, because if you're not ready, get out of here. This is my town. This is my choice.
Beastbreaker 666 $50 will send his ass to the hole where there's no gabagool.
Tremendous. What a run of calls today. NYJ with a super chat. He says, Beast reminds me of Cartman from South Park when he fought the midget substitute teacher. I'll have to watch that episode for you, NYJ. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show it's been. Open phone lines if you want in on the conversation. And if you do, you click the Gusbuster hotline link and you call in. By the way, the promo code for Gusbuster is now promo code Jake2025 if you want a discount at Gusbuster.com. Jake2025, Gusbuster.com. Uno Jets writes in, Jake, I think AG is going to keep the players that he feels fit his agenda. I hope all our good players survive. Yeah, I mean, Frankie, like speculating on Sauce, for example. I think Sauce is an Aaron Glenn player. You don't trade away good players like that, especially now when their value's low. I don't see that. Clancy says, all-time performance from Beast tonight. I'm going to run up the poll again because, typically the poll is 50-50, slightly one way or the other on if you're pro or against Beast. But I'm sensing a vibe check from the audience. Are you a fan of Beastbreaker 666? Yes. No. So we're running it up the poll. Let's get a gauge from the chat. More of your calls right now. Let's say hello to the great Ray from Cali. Hey, Ray, how are you?
Hey, you know what, Jake? I'm trying to tell you, I love Frankie V and what he's saying. Some of the stuff, I think y'all misinterpreting what he's saying overall. He's not saying a tank. He's just saying that there's a window for what we had. We have a great core in place. And that core can't exist over a certain period of time. If Aaron Rodgers was to do what he was supposed to do, this falls in line. That 5-year window that we have with the rookies, I'm sure if you think about it, everybody has that first or second round pick. Unfortunately, we had 3 first-round picks that became very stellar in their first year. It's a gift. It's a great thing. Right. It's a great thing, but we had to win within that. When you have a rookie quarterback, you have that 5. It's the same thing. Have a rookie quarterback in that 5-year window where that contract is not going to go over the top, within that 5 years. Then you have that decision to make in year 5. We have the same scenario with 3-4 players. That's a great thing, but a bad thing. That's all he's saying is we can't afford in the following year. We can play him this year, but in year number 5, we're going to have to make a business decision on who we can probably trade. Sauce is probably safe because his character is great. His business decision as far as not making tackles, that's his only liability. Breece Hall, he's great. I love Breece Hall. He can stay. But the problem is running backs have lost value. So therefore, you can run 3-quarter running backs, mediocre. I don't say mediocre, but decent quarterbacks. Running back every year from college. You can find some great running backs and run 2 or 3. You don't find that one anymore that can do it all. Breece is on the cusp of being that kind of player. But do you take a Breece or Garrett Wilson? I will keep Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall might be the one on the bubble. Jermaine Johnson is great, but he's been injured, so his value is not that great. So he might be able to settle for less money. But when it comes down to contract negotiation, all of them in the same year is going to be very hard.
But you don't need to do them all in the same year, Ray. I don't think you're remembering the fact they're not all going into the last year of their deal. Just Breece is. Like, they have the 5th-year option on all those the 3 first-round guys. Like, and also after this year, in all likelihood, you have a rookie starting for you in 2026, or a quarterback on a rookie contract if they do it this year, and that guy sits behind Tyrod or Rodgers, whoever the starter is. Like, look at Denver. Denver is able to play their players, and they had now Bo Nix on a rookie contract. So
you don't have a guy like Breece Hall that's saying, you know what, I can get more money on a free agent market. They got to want to be here too. They got to see what their value is. They're going to make a business decision on their side too and say, hey, you know what, somebody might be willing to give me more money to play me more than what I'm getting play over here. You got that rookie running back that just came in, that big guy, number 0, Agent 0. He's going to be he's going to be around. Then you got the other one, number 32. He's decent. So if you can get
look, Breece might be the odd guy out because of the position. I think that's fair. That said, I think he's on the team for 2025, and then they have the franchise tag to reevaluate. I don't think they're
all going to be there. I 100% agree. I want to share something with you. When it comes down to the quarterback situation, you look at all the quarterbacks that made Super Bowls. Not all of them are first-round picks. I mean, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks you don't have to be a first-round pick to get it. Brady wasn't a first-round pick. He's like a 5th or 6th-round pick. You have even Mahomes. Mahomes, he didn't play his first year. He sat behind Alex Smith the first year. So we can't get somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round as long as we have a gap play. If we have a gap quarterback and we draft somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round, it has to fit the offense. The key is having the offensive coordinator that know the type of quarterback that he needs. We can't just say, oh, I'm going to draft this guy. We need to know what Aaron Glenn's idea of the perfect quarterback for the system, and then that works for us. We can't just
sports news on the Jake Asman Show.
Ray, good call. We got some real breaking Jet news. I want to make sure I share right away to everyone watching. We have a new O-line coach. On a day it was announced that Aaron Glenn fired Keith Carter, the Jets are hiring Lions tight end coach Steve Hayden as their new offensive line coach. So we might get 2 guys from the Lions offensive staff if the Jets end up hiring Tanner Engstrand to be their OC. So Steve Hayden goes from coaching tight ends to the O-line. What I like about him, without knowing anything about him, is that the Lions have had one of the best offensive lines in the league, and they're really well coached. And it was a big deal for Dan Campbell to retain his offensive line coach. They gave him a raise, and I think they added like an assistant head coach label to his resume to keep him in Detroit. But Glenn's getting someone that is coming over from one of the best offenses in the league. So without knowing anything about him, it's a good hire potentially, right? You got to trust Aaron Glenn's football acumen on this. We don't know. Let's look up his background. See did he play O-line in college? Has he coached O-line before? And he was doing tight ends with the Lions. Let's see. 48 years old. He's from Rushford, Minnesota. Played college at South Dakota State. He was a third-round pick in 1969. Looks like he played tight end as a player. He started off with the Cardinals in 2013 as an assistant special teams and assistant tight end coach. With the Cardinals in 2018, he was the assistant O-line coach, so he has coached the offensive line before. Tight ends coach for the Cardinals from 19 to 22. He's been the tight ends coach from the Lions since 2023. So Aaron Glenn's first notable hire is a new O-line coach, which I think is a tremendously important hire for the Jets. Did I say 1969, by the way? Third round pick in 1999. 69th overall. That's what I meant. He was the 69th overall pick of the third round in 1999. As a player, he played for the Chargers from 99 to 01, Browns from 02 to 09. I don't remember him with the Browns. Probably should, but I don't. Anyway, new O-line coach. And it sounds like we could get a new OC from Detroit as well, the pass game coordinator, Tanner Engstrand. Man, the Lions have lost so many coaches. How is Dan Campbell replacing all these guys? Think about that. Ray, good call. The Brees thing, I think you let it play out for a year. You have the tag if need be. We'll see where they're at. We'll see how good of a player Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis maybe are. And then you go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button if you haven't. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. We're seeking memberships if you want a chance to win a signed, authenticated Joe Namath helmet, and it's included with your helmet a display case that I bought for you guys. So you get the helmet and the display case. It is the biggest giveaway we've ever done. Join the Patreon if you haven't. A bunch of you have in the last few days. I want to shout everyone out who joins. Derek Shirley joined during the show. Matthew C., Chris L., Mad Team 3 Parents, Tim for Fishland, Gangrene Goliath, our 6 most recent Patreon subscribers. There's 2 days left in January, so if you want your name added to the intro, make sure you join before then. All right, more of your calls before we wrap. Let's say hello right now to the big fella. What's up, big fella?
Hey, man, that's good news. That's really good news that we got an O-line coach. You know, hopefully he can.
I hope he's good. I mean, obviously you're putting faith in Glenn that he was there with him. He knows if he's a good coach or not.
Yeah. No, I mean, thank God Keith Carter's out of there. He belongs in the shadow realm, man. He needs to have his spot right there.
We'll see you later, Keith.
Exactly. Now, Frankie. Oh, my buddy Frankie. Bro, he talks out of both sides of his mouth. I don't get it. You know, he says stuff so he won't be wrong, so he'll take both sides. You know, it's very frustrating to listen to him on hear his opinion on stuff. I want him to pick one side. That's it. You know, if you want him to tank, tank. If you don't want him to tank, don't tank. That's it.
To tank or to not tank? That is the question.
That is the question. As for Brees, if we were to get something for him, this year would probably be the best year to get something for him because the running back class is so deep this year. It's supposedly a really good running back class, so possibly, so that's how I see that. Now, as for the person that is formerly known as Butterball to me, I'm changing that up. I'm not going to call him that anymore. I find that, he's been a good guy. I like him a lot. Well, not a lot, but I like him more than I used to. So now he will be named from me Storm Rocks because I'm not calling him that name, bro. That is not happening. And PBM was exactly right. The biggest step you take in anything is going from doing nothing to doing something for an extended period of time and getting experience. So he's exactly right.
What did you think of Beast Breaker's karate moves, though? It looks like a guy that's definitely going to kick Gary's ass.
He needs to just, he needs to work on his cardio, I think, a little bit because he was breathing kind of heavy at the end of that. And, get a little training and see what happens, I don't think anybody should be fighting, though. I don't think that's...
Chris writes in, Beast has been on a streak of calm, good calls. Keep it up, brother.
Exactly, Chris. And that's what we're looking for. So, be the jolly beast that people are starting to like, and just keep it going. But as for his form, needs a little work.
Yep.
So
Understandable.
that's it. Well, who the Knicks playing tonight?
Denver.
Oh, okay.
Jokic in the house.
You're going to see the Jokic brothers?
I will. If they're there, I'd love to meet them.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be dope. That would be really dope. Well, anyway, man, that's all I got. I hope you have a good night and good time.
Big fella, you're the man. Great call. For those tuning in, Jets have a new O-line coach. Lions tight end coach Steve Hyden is the new O-line coach. Keith Carter was fired earlier today. Came out publicly. I'm sure he was fired a couple days ago, but it was announced today. Jets got to hit on an O-line coach. I mean, when was the last time the Jets had a good O-line coach? Bill Callahan with Rex? Let's see how he does. In Glenn we trust. The other Jet coaching news I saw, Aaron Whitecotton's leaving the Jets and going to Dallas on Schottenheimer's staff. So the Jets are going to need to replace a defensive line coach. At this point, I would be surprised if Tanner Engstrand is not the Jets OC. I think Kaylee was their number one. And I said on the show, I heard that the Jets were confident that they were going to get Kaylee. And then Houston opened up and then Tampa opened up. And if we're just being objective, you go to Tampa, the last two OCs there have been head coaches immediately. You go to Houston and you're the guy that gets CJ Stroud to go back to playing like he did as a rookie. You're in line to get a head coaching job there potentially too. So it's a better job. With the Jets, you have maybe Aaron for a year and then you draft a quarterback next year that you don't know. So, but Engstrand, a lot of people thought he was going to be the Ben Johnson replacement on Campbell's staff, and he wasn't. So, we'll see. Stack writes in, like, subscribe, and share. It's a good point. I need to tell people to share more. We got to spread the word about Asmania. Every day on this channel, twice a day. January, one of the most viewed months we've ever had. Certainly in an off-season month, it's right up there with end of March into April 2023 when the Rodgers saga was really unfolding. Clancy says, Lions chose Morton as the OC. Yeah, Charlie Morton. John Morton, former Jet legend. McCown's play caller. He's now the OC. Duncan, how many OCs have we had in the past 15 years? Too many to count. 15 years, so since Schottenheimer. Let me see if I can just do this off the top of my head. Tony Soprano, or is it Sperano? Soprano, RIP, James Gandolfini. Actually, they're both dead, unfortunately. RIP to both those guys. Sperano. Who was after Sperano? Was it Gailey? No. Who was after Sperano in 13 with Rex? I don't even remember. It's so long ago. Who was the Jets OC in 2013? And then 14. I mean, we obviously they had Chan in 15. After Chan, we had Morton for that year with McCown. After Morton, was it Marty Morningweg or was Morningweg after Sperano? I don't know. The point is we haven't had very many good OCs. I used to be able to just nope. I don't know. Not great. It was Gailey, Morton. Was it Marty after that? And then we had Darryl Loggins with Gase? People keep writing Schottenheimer. Stop writing Schottenheimer. We're saying since Schottenheimer. Obviously, we all know Schotty was the Jet OC through 2011. I don't know. We've had a lot of bad OCs, though. It also goes hand in hand with bad quarterbacks. Not great. Let's say hello to Paul, who's next. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Jake.
Paul, where are you calling us from? You're like in a giant hallway. You're in like a cathedral.
Is it an echo again?
Oh, big time echo. Let me see if I can do something on my end to assist you.
Hold on, I'll fix it.
All right, I hit a button that says reduce background noise and echo cancellation. Let's see if that helped.
Is that helping?
A lot better. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool. Sorry, I don't have a lot of furniture in my room. We just moved into the house. So the problem with Frankie's position, and it's like he doesn't understand. It's like everybody's using last year as this bar to make these decisions that we're going to go rebuild or all these things that we're talking about. But like Sauce and these other guys, you have no idea how they're going to fit with Glenn. You can't. It's a different regime, right? So like to say, is he going to fit personality wise with Glenn, or how's Brees going to be? You've had a terrible offensive line coach. Like it's almost like you don't have to make these decisions this year. So I don't know why we're jumping to make these decisions. You have talented guys under contract. You should see how they fit. I think when Glenn says he's analyzing the roster, he's not looking at those guys. He's looking at the other guys, the marginal guys, and hopefully guys like Michael Clemens who don't belong on the roster, and making decisions on those guys. I don't think this is about Sauce, Brees, Garrett. Like it just doesn't make sense to me when he came here to win. So, you're talking about guys in their early to mid 20s in their first contract still, who you don't have to make a contract. Even Garrett, like they may give him an extension. There's a good chance they don't. They may wait, and he may want to wait, for all we know. Because part of this, these guys have got to want to be here too. And so like this goes back to the whole conversation around Aaron Glenn has a fiery press conference. He tells everybody, buckle up. We're here to win. That dude's not coming here to win 4 games next year. I don't care whether you like Rodgers or not to be your quarterback. I actually think the pressure is higher on him if Rodgers is not here and he's going to have a rookie OC. He's going to potentially have some random bridge quarterback that we all know is going to be average to below average. And he went and told everybody, we're here to win. He wins 4 games, 5 games. What does that do to the young core guys that want to be successful?
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
That's not a guy who's trying to go out there and win 4 games to get his quarterback next year.
Yeah, I mean, so like, to say that they have like a grace period, I mean, yes, he's not getting fired after year 1, but like, you can't go into this thing thinking, well, Tyrod, who's going to play 4 games before he's hurt, Jordan Travis, who hasn't even practiced yet, and some rookie that you may get in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round is your QB room for guys that want to win and for a fan base that's starving to win. Like, win 9 games, win 10 games. As far as Rodgers goes, to me personally, it's whether he wants to play or not should be the question. If he wants to play, then you got to figure it out. And I don't think you need to cater to him, but I don't think he's going to look for that. I think it's just a matter of getting on the same page, understanding what the actual plan is versus like when he said to everybody, this isn't about Aaron Rodgers, everyone took that and ran with it as, well, we're not kissing his ass. But I don't believe that was what actually was the intention of what he was saying. What he was basically saying was, look, you guys are making this about one person. It's about an entire team.
Right. He's trying to change the perception of the Jets or Rodgers to, no, we're all a team and
That's
we're
right.
all in on being the Jets and not elevating one player as the savior because those days are done when I'm here. He's 41 and we won 5 games last year. No one's the savior on this team.
Exactly. And so like, is it possible he only plays 1 year? I mean, that's possible. Like if you think about the strategy, you bring him in, you got to draft a guy somewhere between 2, 3, or 4 as a development quarterback. Just you have to keep drafting a quarterback until you get one. That's just my perspective on it, right? So you may hit. Who knows if McCord is in the 3rd round, or I don't know where he might go, or a Ewers or someone like that can develop. If Rodgers, what's the worst that could happen? He has a bad year. You wind up with a poor season. You have to draft a quarterback anyway. You're kind of where you said you were going to be. But what if he has a good year? Your O-line is good. What if you win 10 games? He doesn't get hurt. He stays upright. I mean, like everyone's like, well, he's 1 year and done. I mean, Brady played 4 years after 41. And everyone's like, oh, you can't compare Rodgers to Brady. Can everyone please look at their stats of age 41 seasons and compare the two, and one guy came off of an Achilles injury. Like, Brady threw for 4,300 yards with 29 touchdowns and 11 picks at age 41. It's almost comparable. So, like, for me, it's like, I'm not saying he's going to play 4 years, but like, if he plays a good year next year and he's healthy, the worst case scenario, you win games, he decides to retire, you develop a quarterback. He decides to keep playing, you still develop that quarterback. It's not
it buys you time, man. It buys you time. Like, I'm not even considering, like, all right, like, great, if he somehow plays great next year and you want, like, I'll worry about that then. That's an awesome problem to have. But to me, we talk about establishing culture, all this and that, and that's nonsense. Like, you do that by winning games, man. And if you have the right leadership, you can win games, but you're going to need competent quarterback play. You know, like, Aaron Glenn might be an awesome coach. You can't expect him to be Mike Tomlin and win with crap quarterback play immediately. That's not fair to him. So Aaron, I think, gives him the best chance to win with the understanding of he takes a pay cut, means you bring Devontae back, which makes you better there too. And he tells you he's all into whoever they hire as the OC. And if he gives you a hard time on that, then all right. You know, if he's not willing to do it, then fine, you move on, you do something different. But like, I'm not just jettisoning Rodgers till I have that conversation with him and figure it all out.
Yeah, and then if you do, I mean, if Rodgers is not your quarterback, you still got to figure out a way to get to yourself to win 9 games next year. You have to. I don't care if Rodgers is here or not. You will lose these guys who are talented players on this team. You cannot tank the season. First of all, they're too talented to tank enough to get the first pick. And Glenn's not going to do that. So, like, everyone's like, we just got to stop thinking that way as a fan base and figure out a way to like start progressing. And to your point, get a quarterback somehow, and that you can get him. You can trade up in the draft. You can do different things if you need to. But like, I don't think you worry about 2026 this coming year. Just feels like a losing mentality to me.
I want to win games, Paul. I'm right there with you, man. Like, anyone giving up on this year, like, come on, man. Like, this is a talented team that has some areas they obviously need to add some depth to, and they got to, you know, revamp the D-line, for example, and the tight end room. But, you know, we're talking about a team that enters next year with a number 1 wide receiver, a big-time running back. I think the other 2 running backs are solid as well. We'll see what they are with another year. An offensive line that has 4 of its 5 starters in place, including a really good left tackle. That's a premium position that you have locked up now for years to come. Defensively, you have an all-pro defensive tackle. You have a 10-sack-a-year guy in Will McDonald at pass rush. You're getting Jermaine back. He was a Pro Bowl player 2 seasons ago. Quincy is still there at linebacker. Sauce and Michael Carter are still there on your secondary. Most teams that are 5-12 with a new regime don't have that many quote-unquote foundational pieces that the Jets have. So you should try and surround them with players and win games. Like 2 years ago, they won 7 with Zach Wilson. So even if it's not Rodgers, like if it's Tyrod, fix the defense. Hopefully Aaron Glenn, you know, can hire a good staff, get the kicking game figured out, and find a way to win 9 games, 10 games, and make the playoffs next year in a wide open AFC every year.
Yeah, and hopefully the O-line coach they've brought in understands that you actually have to do run protections to be able to actually run the football, right? and if that's the case, you're a 60-40 maybe run offense without, you know, and you focus that way. Right. You've got 3 backs. They're all very capable.
I think the comp is like Peyton Manning with Denver. Like, that's the extreme. Yeah. But, like, he was a game manager. They won. Phillip Rivers is last year. Won 11 games with the Colts. They won. Like, that's what I'm saying. Aaron, I think, is still good enough to do that. He still has the arm. I think he's more mobile than people realize now that he was healthy the last, 6 games of the year. He's moving a lot better. We all saw that. I'm at least having the conversation with him, and I think him and Glenn are going to get along. So unless Rodgers retires, I think there's a real path for him to be the quarterback next year.
Yeah, and I think all the young guys, like I said before, you cannot judge their behaviors with where they were last year. They were literally, it was the inmates running the asylum last year in that organization. You can't blame Sauce and all those guys. I had this argument with my brother. You cannot trade these guys based on what happened last year. You just can't.
You would fail to like maximize on their talent anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're selling low on these guys. That would make no sense.
100%. So
like the reason why Joe Douglas, by the way, was able to get 2 1s for Jamal, he was coming off an all-pro season. Like this is a completely different situation now.
And he became a malcontent. I mean, he wanted out. He was demanding things.
He wanted paid, and when he didn't get paid, then he went to the media and went to Manish and blasted Gase, and they had no choice.
Yeah, you haven't had that with these guys. I mean, like the only guy that had anything this year really was Reed, and he's gone, right? So Brees, he wants to win. Sauce wants to win. Sauce admitted after they got rid of Salah that he basically went sideways. Why? Because it was his first coach in the league. He probably felt really connected to him, and the whole thing blew up in his face. I get it. He's what, 23, 24 years old? Like people like get Glenn in his face to get him to understand how to be a leader. And let's see if he buys in. If he doesn't, then you move on from those guys. That's just, I don't know. You got a new regime coming in with a new mindset. Let's see how these guys respond to it.
Paul, keep calling in, man. Great call. I agree with all that. That's like a rational take. Like Paul's a pro Rodgers guy, but he agrees with me. Like if Aaron gives you a hard time about a new system that he has to learn, or he's not all into what Glenn's saying, then you move on. But I think Aaron and Glenn are going to get along. I do. Some more info on the Jets O-line coach here. This is from SNY Jets videos here. Handsome fella, I will say. If we're going to analyze this guy, here's his resume. I gave it to you earlier, but now you can visualize it on the screen. The resume of a man that hopefully knows how to scheme an offensive line, protection, and running game. Love it. 99 to 09. Played 11 years in the league. Tight end for the Chargers, Browns. 13 to 17. Cardinals assistant special teams and assistant tight ends coach. 2018. Cardinals assistant O-line coach. 19 to 22. Cardinals tight end coach. Last couple of years, Lions tight end coach. Love that. Paul, you're getting a lot of love from the Asmaniacs in the chat. So keep calling. We need more of you. I just saw this from Purple Belt Mike. Jake, if you add an Adidas zip-up as a giveaway, I'll get 5 memberships. Mike, just for you. These are brand new, by the way. I actually just got mine in the mail today. Adidas, Jake Asman, and Asmaniac quarter zips. So how about we do this, Mike? You get 5. We'll let the winner pick if they want Jake Asman show or the Asmaniac ones on my website. I'll pull that up for people to see, too. By the way, thanks to everyone who's buying merch. We're having a big month for merch, which is awesome. Not even just the Glenn stuff, but a bunch of people got hats, winter hats. Let's see. Here's the quarter zips. Hold on, you guys can't see it. Let me share my screen again. We could add that. JakeAsman.com. If you're a Patreon member, 20% off. White, Asmaniac, Adidas quarter zips, or the black. We have both. I also added, hold on. Regular Jake Asman show. That's what I'm wearing right now. And if you want it in black, that's also available. You just got to go to quarter zips. I hit the black one right here. It's a different logo. It's white here, so that's why it's coming up listed as a different thing, but it's the same thing. Check it out. It's good stuff. Also, Aaron Glenn merch. AG. T-shirt. We have them in stock, and I added hoodies now. I was able to get that done as well. They don't have the Kelly green for it, so it's not the same green for the T-shirt, but it still looks good. I think it actually looks really good. JakeAsman.com. So, Mike, gift away, and I will make that one of the prizes for you. All right. Hit the like button if you haven't. A window with a view says, Jake, I'm still saying we're 24 hours before OCDC. Well, the press conference was Monday, and you were the one who was saying, 24 to 48? You might be spot on with one of them, because Steve Wilks is interviewing tonight for the DC job. He's the favorite. So we could get it. Hey, the Jets have hired him tonight. That leaked out. I don't think I'm doing an emergency show for that one, by the way. All right. Maybe if it happens to happen when I get back from the game, maybe. But with that, could probably wait till tomorrow. Uno says, Jake, I think AG is going to keep the good players he feels better fit his agenda. I hope our good players survive. I might have read this already, but I agree. I don't think they're just going to get rid of all the good players on the team. Peter Castro says, can't take another season being over by Halloween. No way. No way. Ladies and gentlemen, I know who we have to go to weigh in. on the Aaron Rodgers conversation. Beast? His internet's down. Damn. Gator, nice new intro. Rich says, smash the like. It's free. Gator says, if it's Rex Ryan, emergency. If it's Rex Ryan, I'm leaving the Nick game and coming back and doing a show. If Rex is the DC, I don't think it's going to be. Jeffrey says, I got my merch from the Boy Green raffle. Revis jersey. Snoopy and Jets garb, a killer pint glass, pens, and a coins and poster. Nice. Shout out to Boy Green. Peter Castro thinks Brees is the best player on the team. I don't think he is, Peter. I think the best player on offense is Garrett. Chris writes in, Duval or Beast Breaker. Well, everyone's been focusing in on, the Duval thing. No one caught this.
Beast Breaker.
Just saying. Just saying. All right. Hold on. Am I seeing this right? They're going to the closer now? They are. Ladies and gentlemen, enter Sandman.
It's Chiefs fan. Guess what? I'm still looking for a job, bitches. It's Chiefs fan. I'm just going to rub my hands together all day. It's Chiefs fan. There's a whole lot of DNA on this couch. Let's hear it for Chiefs fan. Look, it's my dead neighbor that I didn't kill.
Howdy, Chiefs fan.
So I will not be. I couldn't put it all in because it was too many words. I will not be on the Friday night show as usual, but I will be for the Friday morning show if I can. I'm doing good. I had some frozen shrimp that I had to cook up that were raw, and then I cut that up.
You know what, Chiefs fan, I'm going to have to let you go because we have actual Jet breaking news, which is great. Okay. Right as I got off the air, the New York Jets have hired defensive coordinator Steve Wilks.
Breaking sports news on the Jake Asman Show.
Steve Wilks, according to Tom Pelissero, it is a done deal. He has agreed the terms. So this quote-unquote interview is a formality. He's been the favorite all along. I like the hire. That's my initial take on Steve Wilks. He sat out last year, but look at the guy's resume. He's coached a long time. He's been a very successful defensive coach. He's been hired by some big-time organizations, and he was a head coach, right? He was a head coach twice, if you think about it. He got one and done in Arizona. Not his fault. Look at the roster. Look at his quarterback, by the way, Josh Rosen. And then he was the interim head coach in Carolina, and he was 7-6 as the head coach. So, look, he's probably not a head coach in this league. But this, to me, is a good hire because he has previous coaching experience as a head coach, well-respected, and we know he can call the defense. So, I think it's a good move by Aaron Glenn. I think it's a very good move. You know, obviously my dream was Rex. That was never going to happen, though. Wilks is a guy who blitzes. So, Peter Castro, get ready. Steve Wilks will blitz. But this is a good move. You want someone experienced to pair with a first-time head coach. I use this example a lot when we were talking about first-timers. If you guys remember, the New York Jets, once upon a time, had a first-year head coach named Rex Ryan. And Rex kept the OC in place in Schottenheimer, kept Bill Callahan as his O-line coach, who's been a head coach before, kept Mike Westhoff, who wasn't a head coach, but was one of the most seasoned coaches at that time in the league, an elite special teams coordinator and assistant head coach. And there was a ton of experience on that staff, and I think that matters. So, look, at the end of the day, I think the OC hire is more important for the Jets. But Steve Wilks is a good coach. He's been a good coach. And I think it's a good choice by Aaron Glenn. You know, my big thing once again was if you're going to hire a first-time head coach, then you have to bring some experience to the staff. So that's the bottom line. Good hire here. Now, if they hire Tanner Engstrand as the OC, he's never been a head coach. He's never been an OC before. So what I would like to see them do is hire Todd Haley, who's been rumored, as like an assistant offensive coach, like an offensive assistant, senior offensive assistant, give him that title. So there's some experience there that, once again, been a head coach, been a long-time play caller, help out Aaron Glenn with this transition. And obviously Glenn knows Haley for a very long time, dating back to the Jet days. So let's see. I think it's a good move, though. I think it's a good pick by Wilks here. Ladies and gentlemen, Purple Belt Mike is a man of his word.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas.
He has gifted 5 channel memberships. Happy Wolverine, AL, Dirty Jesus, Pretty Boy, FFV, and James Eubanks got the memberships here. We will have a quarter zip of your choice in the next raffle. Thanks to the great PBM for doing that. Also, I should give a shout out. I just saw someone actually bought a quarter zip as I'm live right now. Big shout out to listener Ralph, who ordered a quarter zip. So appreciate that, Ralph. Very nice of you. All right. Steve Wilks, the new DC. Now we turn our attention to the OC. So Jets hire a new O-line coach. Jets hire a new defensive coordinator. That's what it's all about. Will we get the OC? That's the question. By the way, another name I was thinking about for like a senior level offensive assistant. How about Anthony Lynn? I believe he's the running backs coach right now for the Commanders, but the Jets could give him a promotion here. Anthony Lynn's been a head coach. He knows Aaron Glenn. By the way, Anthony Lynn's been a Jet, right? He was with Rex on that staff. He's been a play caller before. To me, there's something to that. So, maybe another name to watch. I don't know. But Steve Wilks hired. Also, Ralph's in the chat. He bought the quarter zip. Thank you, Ralph. Very nice of you. All right. We got ourselves a new DC and a new O-line coach in this episode. The staff is coming together. How it ought to be. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a show. Hit the like button if you haven't. Comments, questions, super chats. You guys know the deal. They always cut the line around here. Thanks to everyone who sent one in. Join the Patreon if you haven't. A few days left in the month of January to get your name added to the intro for February. Again, Aaron Glenn shirt on sale now at jakeasman.com. So check that out if you are interested. Working on some more merch ideas, by the way. If anyone has any, reach out. This was listener submitted by Sham. We got more coming, so be on the lookout. Anyway, thank you again for watching. We're back tomorrow. Matt O'Leary joins us in his weekly spot at 10 a.m., so I'm excited about that. Appreciate all of you. And I have one message before I leave. All right, I need everyone to get closer to their speakers. Listen up. I'm only going to say this once. You ready?
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Can you give us like a boxing tutorial on the show?
So the jab, that's a 1. Right cross.
You think you take Beastbreaker?
I'm pretty sure I could beat Beastbreaker in a fight.
What gives you the confidence?
The physical appearance of Beastbreaker and having been in countless fights.
What do you mean the physical appearance?
He can't get out of bed.
That's not true. He definitely can get out of bed. He's up. Yeah.
That's training 101. Welcome to my classroom, Gary.
Hey, he did get out of bed. Good for you.
Get up, sunshine! Ah! I think it's called fear, son. I think it's called fear.
Yeah. Sit down before you have a heart attack, Beast.
That's scary enough to knock my out. Come look with you, little fuck. I got something for you. Come on down. Who's next? Come on. Who wants a little?
He looks to be in great physical condition.
Yeah, baby.
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. The enemy confronts you, he's the enemy. Just bring it all you got. You're all just a bunch of little babies with no guts.
I mean, I learned a lot there, Gary.
Yeah.
Beastbreaker.